Hiya, and welcome back to Sileo Tales of a New Dawn. The game that teaches us that the best way to win your ex back is to go out of your way and, I guess, sleep on the streets. Right, go out of your way to buy them a bottle of whiskey from their childhood. Or something. Fuck, just let my character move them up a bit. There we go. That's better. I don't know. Got the coffee out and everything. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I'm also, kind of scared. So I'm just going to, bring the censorship up. I sat bolt upright, torn from my dream by the sudden and terrifying realization that I'd promised Diego that I would let him know if I wasn't coming home for the night. Only to do it again the very next night. I knew what was coming. Diego was going to be pissed. Glancing over to my right-hand side, I saw Axel, who was still sound asleep in his bed despite the light that flooded through his windows and the sounds of activity coming from elsewhere in the house. My first order of business before anything else was to grab a vial from the box given to me by Apollo. I uncorked the mixture before pouring it straight down my throat in a bid to minimize contact with my taste buds. It didn't work. Ugh. With my sanity now assured, at least for today, I reached over to the small pile of belongings and retrieved my phone. Hitting the power button to wake the display, instead I was greeted with a dead battery symbol for several seconds before the screen returned to black. Of course my phone was dead. I didn't know what else to expect. I hadn't brought my charger with me, but quickly spotted Axel's phone resting upon its nightstand, fully charged and ready to start the long day ahead. I quietly disconnected his phone before plugging the charger into my own. I hoped that he wouldn't mind, but it was not like he was awake for me to ask him. After a few moments, my phone began booting up. I watched as the symbol went around and around until finally I was deposited at the lock screen. For a few seconds, there was blissful silence as my phone established its connection to the network, but then I watched in dismay as a frantic flurry of missed calls and unanswered messages rolling in from various times of the evening and night. I'd either missed the first of those messages or my phone had kicked the bucket sooner than I had thought. The vast majority of these were from Diego as expected, but scattered in between was the occasional message from Dom, who I'd also promised to keep in touch with, only to fail just as spectacularly on keeping that promise. I took a deep breath, bracing myself for the absolute lashing that would be coming my way before finally tapping Diego's photo and hitting the call button. It was at least better late than never, right? I held the phone to my ear as the line began to ring. My head hung low in shame as I anxiously waited. I expected outright fury, a blazing inferno of rage and anger that singed my ear all the way through the phone line, but I underestimated just how angry Diego would really be. Hello? You have 5 seconds... You have 5 seconds to explain yourself before I break your kneecaps. I'm so sorry. I promise not calling you wasn't intentional. I just got caught up in everything and forgot all about it. As any consolation, I promised I'd check in with Dom as well and didn't. It wasn't just you. I know. Dom told me. Shit, I'm really sorry, Diego. Please don't be mad at me. I ain't mad, just disappointed. Oh no. Somehow Diego being disappointed in me was even worse. Part of me wished that he'd just yell at me instead. At least that way it would feel like he still cared. Planning on telling me when went down, or am I supposed to guess? If he wasn't mad at me already, I little doubt that he soon would be. It was difficult to explain exactly what I was doing and why without talking about Apollo's secret. Diego knew too much already, and it sure wasn't that any on-the-spot justification I could muster would not just breeze past him. Sadly, I had no better ideas. Well, I traveled down to Somerville last night to pick up a gift for Ty's birthday today, but I took the last train to get here and couldn't get home. Ended up running into Axel and stayed the night here with him. You know you're skipping over a good bit. I know. When you went up to Spencer's place, what'd you find? Well, I knocked on his door and we got talking. Turns out he and Ty aren't a thing at all. It's all been a big misunderstanding. Right. Then what about what you overheard Ty saying to him? I must have misheard or something. Why lie about it, Aiden? It's obvious that you're full of shit right now. I knew my bluff had been doomed to fail from the start. Honestly, I had no idea why I'd even bothered. Instead, I decided to try a different approach. One that at the very least might buy me some time. I'm sorry, Diego. The whole thing, it's really complicated and, well, I don't really know what to say or how to say it. Can I ask for your patience? We'll talk about it tonight back home. That is if you even come home this time. Need to think of another cover story? No, it's not like that, I promise. Right, so what gives the gift? Are you and Ty back on good terms or something? No, not yet, but I'm hoping this gift will help facilitate that. It's something he's really wanted for a long time, super hard to track down. Explains why you're in Somerville, I guess. Yeah, exactly right. When I come back to Woodcrest, I'm hoping to track him down and surprise him with it. Well, good luck with that. If you don't mind, I'm going back to sleep. Oh shit, did I wake you? Was that not obvious? I guess there was a lot I guess there was a lot less yelling than I expected. I'm saving it for tonight when I'm having a crack at those kneecaps of yours. Great, I look forward to you breaking my kneecaps. You and me both, partner. Diego hung up the call, and I lowered the phone from my ear, switching to a messaging app or composing a new message to Dom explaining my radio silence. Or at least trying to, the best I could without spilling important secrets at any rate. The message read, "Hi Dom, sorry, not dead, just busy. Still need time to process everything I learned. I'll come back to you about it. Sorry about the wait." I sent it off and locked my phone, putting it on the bedside table beside Axel's. As I did, I noticed a pair of blue eyes watching intently from within a cavern of thick and tightly bundled blankets. "Oh, morning, Axel. Hope you don't mind that I use your charger for a bit. I forgot to tell Diego where I was going, again." Was he angry? "Yeah, he's going to break my kneecaps. Sounds fun." "Yeah, looking forward to that. I deserve it, though. There's 2 nights in a row now. I guess if I'm in a wheelchair, it's harder for me to do it again." "We're gonna lose our kneecaps." He's not really going to break your kneecaps, right?" "I'd say no, but you never really know, Diego." "Oh no!" "Oh, sorry if I made last night awkward when I talked about, you know. Me and Russ, I hope I didn't..." "Axel, Alan, boys, are you awake? Breakfast is ready." "Oh! Be out soon, Mom." "Oh, and Albert, honey, your freshly laundered clothes are just outside the door. Just toss what you're wearing in Axel's basket, and I'll look after it." "Oh, thanks, Beth." "Oh, it is my pleasure, honey. It is not every day I get to do laundry for such a handsome young man. Well, except when Axel comes to visit." "Oh. I feel so sorry for your dad." She doesn't mean it like that, I think. Honestly, I'm looking forward to having no kneecaps. I got to my feet and approached the doorway once the coast was clear of any Beth-like horrors. My clothes were exactly where she said they would be. I collected them, the potent scent of lavender flooding my nose and making me a little lightheaded as I closed Axel's bedroom door once again and absentmindedly began to strip. Yeah, I'm gonna, hide the window. It was a really funny sight. Even if I didn't fit that shirt anymore, it looked really silly, stretched to fit Aiden's body. I was watching, struggling to contain my laughter when he began undressing right there in front of me. Thank God it isn't an illustration. I panicked a little. I don't know what to do. His shirt was already gone when I spoke up. "Oh, should I look away?" "Huh? Oh, sorry, I guess I didn't think. Then again, you saw it all at the hot springs, right?" We're well past the point of modesty, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm not bothered either way. So if it makes you uncomfortable or anything, I can do this in the bathroom instead. Otherwise, I'll just do it here. Your call. I felt bad. It's not that I had a problem with it or anything. It was just that I couldn't do the same. It's super weird. If only one person does it, right? Ugh, I didn't know what to do. I know you're uncomfortable with this sort of stuff yourself, too. And I guess that's part of why I don't have a problem doing it myself. I suppose I'm hoping it'll help you build confidence or something. Yeah, I've gone and made this into such an awkward and uncomfortable situation. Sorry, Axel, I'm just an idiot. Ignore me embarrassing myself over here. You're not, I appreciate the thought. Thanks, Axel, but you don't need to pretend just to make me feel better or anything. I embarrass myself all the time. A few nights ago, Diego walked in when I was butt-ass naked, fighting what I thought was a bug in my pants. It actually turned out to be some cash Diego had returned to me by sneaking it back into my pants. That's a cringeworthy situation I'll never be able to forget. That's hilarious. Hey, come on now. I'm over here trying to even the playing field, and you're laughing at me. That's not fair. Sorry, it was super hilarious, though. Psh, yeah, I guess you're right. And to Diego's credit, he was laughing with me, not at me. Between that and a bunch of other embarrassing things that have happened since I moved to Woodcrest, maybe I'm starting to develop a thicker skin. Anyway, breakfast is getting cold. Are you okay if I finish up here, or should I excuse myself to the bathroom? Well, what was I supposed to say? If I said I wanted him to continue, I just look like a total perv, but I didn't want him to have to leave the room for my sake. That wasn't fair. Suddenly I knew what to do. If I just pretended not to care, then it wouldn't be inconvenient for him or awkward for us both. Yes, genius, go me! I concentrated all the skills I developed during the year that I took drama classes when I was 8 To put on the most blank and disinterested expression I could muster. To really sell it, I even picked up my phone and leaned back against my pillow, pretending I wasn't even paying attention. Aw, man, so cool. Whatever. Ah, yes, I nailed it. For a moment there, I wondered why I'd never continued with the drama classes, seeing as I definitely had a talent for them. But then, okay then. I guess I got a little ahead of myself, huh? Aiden peered suspiciously at me as he slid my old pair of pants to the ground. What? He wasn't wearing any underwear? Those were my pants! What's that look for? Oh, right. Sorry, I didn't have any spare underwear, and I don't know, wearing somebody else's is just plain weird. Not to mention there's no way they'd fit me anyway. I've kind of got a dump truck ass. Dump truck ass? What does that even mean? It's cool. I concentrated super hard to stay in character as Aiden stood naked across the room. His butt was kind of round. But why do they call it dump truck ass? I don't understand. I couldn't help but when I whimpered slightly. I tried my best, but it just came out. This is so unfair. A second. I can't do. Next time he's definitely going to the bathroom, and he can take his dump truck ass with him. I don't want to read that one sentence. Oh man, you have no idea how good it feels to be back in fitting clothes. I guess living with Diego hasn't been so great for my waistline. What? Now I couldn't help but watch his muscles flex as he stretched his arms to get his shirt and jacket on. Stop! Stop it! Stop being sexy right now! Aiden, I've got enough problems without you being one too. Alright, time for breakfast. I'll give you some privacy, okay? And I'll let your parents know that you'll be out in a few minutes. Okay, I think I can, show the screen now. Oh. Actually, let me check something real quick. Does he have a dumpy? I don't know. Oh, okay then. Aiden smiled in my direction before he promptly vanished out the door, closing it firmly behind him so that I knew it was closed properly. I sighed to myself. I felt really silly. I had nothing to hide, but I still couldn't bring myself to do it. And if I had done it at the hot springs, maybe Dom would be more interested in me? Was that even anything to do with it? And what about Russ? How is this all happening now? Ugh. I wish I knew what to do. Okay, we're safe. And then she said, I don't know how you do it, girl. And I just said to her, it's called being a good mother, Stephanie. Wow, you, sure showed her. I did, didn't I? I am so glad that you agree, Austin. Clearly you are also a man of tremendous intellect. Ooh, my little Axel has chosen so well, don't you think, dear? Oh, yes, absolutely, my dear. Our son has a good eye, it would seem. He does. I only wish he was able to hold on to them. I do so miss that sweet Roland's visits. I wonder whatever happened to him. It is a mystery to us all. But morning, I hope I'm not too late. Not at all, honey. Lovely Devin here let us know you were running a bit behind, so we all waited for you to join us. One moment, please, everybody. Beth stood up from her chair and skittered over to the kitchen counter where she began to uncover a series of previously prepared plates. Thanks, Aiden. Sleep well, Skipper? Yep, thanks, Dad. Your mother was just telling Aiden that story she loves to tell about Stephanie from that old job of hers. Okay. Axel's mom is just built different. Really? That happened 7 years ago. Sorry you had to listen to that, Aiden. Hey, she's repaying me in breakfast. At least I can do a smile and nod. You're one hell of a quick learner, Aiden. I'm sure you'll do well with a spouse of your own someday. Smiling and nodding can get you a long, long way. You're really selling the married life, Joe. What can I say? I'm living the dream. Love might be blind, but marriage is a real eye-opener. Here we are, my dears. Fresh, delicious pancakes. Butter's in the plastic container in the middle of the table, and the syrups are right next door. Oh, there's whipped cream, the very best kind as well. Beth plonked a can of whipped cream on the table in front of us. I didn't quite understand. The very best kind? Yes, indeed, Albert. The kind I don't have to whip myself. Especially after Joe broke the last mixer. All I'm thinking right now is that this man she is going to kill him in his sleep. Like we're going to, like, at some point, we're going to, like, open up murder mysteries, and it would be, like, the story of how Beth murdered her husband in his sleep because he forgot to take out the trash. In my defense, it said dishwasher safe on the box. The attachments, Joe, not the unit itself. Bon appetit, everybody. You can't say I'm wrong, though. He is going to die in his sleep. With the awkward silence dismissed as quickly as it had begun, the four of us dug into our meals. I started by buttering my pancakes, then adding a generous serving of canned whipped cream on the top. The final step was to add the syrup. I craned my neck to read each of the labels on the bottle. Chocolate, butterscotch, caramel, strawberry, maple, raspberry. May I have that syrup after you, dear? I have just finished. Here you are, Joe. Thank you, my love. Wow, how did you get them to be perfect circles this time? Kitchen Corner had a once-in-a-lifetime 65% off sale a few weeks ago. I couldn't help myself. I got an all-new cookware set, including a brand-new non-stick skillet, which is the perfect size and shape for pancakes. I just thought the skillet touches was shaped for pancakes. Wow, you're so savvy. Aren't I just... It quite made the dent in our savings, but do I look like the kind of gal that'd miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime sale? You know, I think I saw an ad on TV saying they got 75% off all cookware this week. Hold on. Kindly excuse me for a moment. There's an important phone call I need to make. He is going to die in his sleep. Oh dear, I would hate to be the poor retail worker who gets stuck with that call. Last time I had to deliver them a gift basket by way of apology. A gift basket? Seriously? Just what the hell did you do to that poor person? Oh, isn't so bad, really. Our generation was made of sterner stuff. Kids these days take things to heart far more than they should. We're right here, you know. Oh, it's not a bad thing, don't worry. But it's very unhelpful when dealing with my wife. Dad, are you done with the syrup? Oh yes, sorry, Skipper, here you go. Axel began to drench his pancakes in syrup as he beamed away happily. The promise of a forthcoming sugar rush relieving any tension that might have been felt in the room. So, Aiden, you'll be taking the 11 a.m. train home, right? Any plans for when you get back home? Yeah, I'm meeting up with my boyfriend. Well, actually, it's complicated, but I'm meeting up with a guy I care a lot about. It's his birthday today, and I have a gift for him. An old bottle of whiskey that's been out of production for 2 decades. Quite the rarity. Quite the gift. Do you recall which brand? It's some foreign language I won't even attempt here. I reached down in my collection of belongings resting beside my chair and retrieved the bottle of whiskey, handing it to Joe for closer inspection. My word, an open...
Self-voicing enabled. Joe, my word, an unopened bottle of ale out de Pieds de Grand Mere. And
here I thought the world had been rid of this foul drop. I thought you said you cared about this person. I couldn't think of a crueler trick. That poor man sounds to me like you actually loathe him. That's something fierce. Dad, don't be so rude. You're right. It isn't my place to say. Here, I'll give you this back. Joe handed the bottle back to me and returned it to its original position beside my chair. He specifically requested this. At least, I think it was this. That's what I was told, anyway. I really hope it's right. Do you happen to have any idea what that language is or what it means? I'm pretty sure it's one of the old human tongues, extinct for more than 10,000 years now. But for what it says, that is anyone's guess. I doubt there's anybody alive that speaks it, but I'd be willing to wager that the company that produced it didn't have a clue either. Among many other things, like for instance, what a good whiskey tastes like. Dad, is it really that bad? Utterly vile, real popular with the older crowd though, like those foul cough candies fished up from the bottom of their purse covered in hair. Ew. It was a different time. These days were spoiled for choice, but when that drink was at the peak of its popularity, practically everything was just as horrid. You just couldn't be choosy back then, and they weren't. They'd drink just about anything, no matter how foul it was, just like a ghost. A ghost? Yeah, they'll drink anything with booze. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I swear, I've been doing that every stream now. Where I just, like, walk away. please kill me. Sorry about the absence, everybody. Goodness, poor Anthony must think I'm such a rude host. Not at all. How did the phone call go? Well, the first person that I spoke to was very unhelpful. I couldn't believe they would treat their customers that way. The nerve. Once they put me through to the store manager, I finally started to see some results. They're sending me a voucher for the difference. You see, it's always worth inquiring. Another notch in your quiver. Well done, dearest. You know what they say, the customer's always right. Oh, ho, ho. I said several times I'm going to say it again. He is going to die in his sleep. She is going to, stab him to death in his sleep. I took a moment of I took a moment of silence out of respect for that poor retail worker. You deserve better, whoever you were, and your sacrifice will be remembered. Oh, Albert, you haven't taken so much as a bite from your pancakes. Is something wrong? It just wasn't the same without my favorite flavor, sir. I could have all the choices in the world, but without that one specific flavor, they would all be meaningless. But I was kind of hungry, and it'd be all kinds of rude not to eat just because I'm a syrup snob. So sorry, it was just distracted by conversation. Hey, Aiden. Don't get good syrup if you want it. Sure thing. Axel? Wouldn't shock me. Axel passed a bottle across the table to me where I turned it around, inspecting the label. It was passion fruit syrup. Yep, it's delicious. Axel's right, there's no other syrup like it. We go through bottle after bottle in this household, Albert. We certainly have a family favorite. I looked down again at the bottle in disbelief. People were usually so quick to dismiss passion fruit syrup. Yet here sat a family of true passion fruit allies. Had I found my people at long last? It's not for everybody, I understand. There are plenty of other flavors to choose from if you'd like. I opened the top of the bottle and began saturating my breakfast with delicious and tangy passion fruit syrup. What began as a coating progressed into a torrential downpour as more and more syrup cascaded down to my plate, forming a layer so thick I could hardly see the pancakes anymore. Goodness, Adolf! Goodness, Adolf! Is everything okay? Looks like our guest has proven yet again that he has fantastic taste. A shame we're out of vanilla ice cream. Ooh, yes, nothing... Ooh, yes. I'm sorry, we're not Aiden anymore, we're now Adolf. Ooh, yes, nothing goes better with pancakes and passion fruit syrup than vanilla ice cream. Yup. You people get me. It was strange. Until that point, Beth and Joe had done little but bicker and take cheap shots at one another. When it came to their preference in pancake syrups, that was something that the entire family could agree upon. Suddenly, the dynamic between Beth and Joe started to make a strange sort of sense to me. They had been married for a very long time and were well past the point of being polite, or even tolerating the quirks and idiosyncrasies of the other. They bickered like mad, all the while firing backhanded remarks back and forth with reckless abandon. But this only served to demonstrate how comfortable they had become with one another. Beneath all the bickering and sharpened tongues, it was as though they were soulmates. The love they shared was the kind of love that could weather any storm, endure any trial and overcome any obstacle. A love which made these two completely inseparable. I swear to God, he's going to get murdered. And it was weird as all hell. Half hour or so later, we had finished our meals and gotten ourselves set for the journey ahead. Our train was due to leave very soon, and it was time for Axel and me to be going. Oh, Andrew, honey, I've been meaning to say how lovely you look now compared to when you arrived. From a poor, bedraggled stray to such a devilishly handsome young man. Oh, ho, ho, ho. All set, Aiden? All set. Ready to go when you are, Axel. Look at what you've done, dear. You scared these poor boys away. Joking aside, the extra strong detergent did wonders. I can smell the lavender from here. You know, getting that laundry done. It was a load off my mind. Bravo. Bravo. Somebody please call an ambulance. If poor Adam is scared of anybody, it's you, Joe. Well, maybe that is for the best. You boys have a train to catch after all. Yep, sorry to leave so soon, Mom and Dad, and thanks for letting Aiden stay. It can overcome any obstacle except Joe forgetting to take out the trash. Beth, stabby time. Oh, it is no trouble at all, honey. It is a rare treat that you're still here on a Monday as it is. Exactly. It's been great seeing you, Skipper. And you, Aiden. Come back anytime. We'll always have a seat at the table for you. Oh yes, please do visit again, Keegan. I would so love to see how Axel and you are doing. Maybe one day we'll even see rings on those fingers. Ooh, I tremble just thinking about it. Thanks for letting me stay the night. It was a godsend. I didn't know what I would have done otherwise. Apart from bumming for change in a dirty alleyway. Shut up. Oh, Austin, it was a pleasure having you, honey. I am sorry you had to sleep on the floor. It had been such a long time since we've had guests, and we simply weren't prepared. Which wouldn't have been a problem if Joe had built a bed like he said he would. Yes, my love, I will get right on that. See you in a few weeks, Mom and Dad. Love you. Oh, we love you too, honey, and we love the wonderful men you bring to meet us. Like Alexi here, and whatever became of Randall, I miss that boy ever so much. See you on the... Oh, the flip side. Kids still say that, right? Close enough, Dad. Nailed it. Behave yourself, Axel, and you too, Albert. Those good looks of yours are liable to give someone a heart attack. I'll try. Until next time. We need to get moving, Aiden, or else we're going to miss the train. Let's double time it. The last thing I want is to miss the train and have to listen to another 2 hours worth of Joe's jokes. Aw, they're not that bad. Okay, maybe they are. I swear to God, he has like a book. He has like a book that he keeps hidden from Beth. That's just like full of awful dad jokes. He just has like a book full of them. Axel and I waved goodbye to his parents before departing their house and beginning our brief journey towards the train station. We were running somewhat behind schedule, but Somerville, being as small as it was, worked well in our favor. Not that it prevented us from having to run most of the way. We arrived just in the nick of time. Our lack of larger luggage allowed us both to board the train directly, slipping inside only moments before the doors began to shut. Both Axel and I were panting as we navigated the aisle to claim our seats. Admittedly, I was faring notably worse than he was. I don't rightly know why we walked the aisles for as long as we did, considering the wealth of open seats, but after a couple of minutes we came across one specific empty spot, the very same spot in which Axel and I had first met a little over 2 weeks ago. I turned to him, and he, I. We shared a mutual knowing smile before claiming the spot as our own only moments before the PA announced our departure. Good afternoon, passengers, and thank you for riding with us today. We are now departing the station at Somerville and will soon begin our ascent through the mountains to reach our destination of Woodcrest. We expect to arrive in around 40 minutes from now. Please make yourselves comfortable and enjoy the trip. At last, the train began to creep forwards, signaling our official beginning of our journey as it gradually picked up speed. The settlement of Somerville quickly being left behind outside our window, only to be replaced with mountainous terrain as we commenced our climb. Ooh, crazy deja vu, huh? You can say that again. It was just over 2 weeks ago when we met in these exact seats on this exact journey. You were coming home from visiting your parents then too, right? Yeah, so I guess it's not that unlikely for me. Running into you yesterday? That is such a crazy coincidence. Would you really have slept in that alleyway if I hadn't found you? Probably. I'd have done whatever it took. Love and grief are crazy, complicated things. You can say that again, especially the complicated part. Sometimes it's so hard to know what to do. I've made a lot of mistakes with Ty, that's for sure. It was a situation that was vastly more complex than I'd expected. But even then, I made a bunch of dumb decisions that I should have known better than to make. The silver lining is that I can comfortably say that I've learned a lot along the way. A lot about relationships, a lot about myself, and even a lot about some really unexpected things, too. Like what? Well, of course I'd been alluding to everything I had learned from Apollo, most of which I couldn't share. Yet there was one thing Apollo had previously told me, something that I'd shared with others already and commanded no secrecy. Doomsday Clock Disorder, for example. It's this weird genetic kill switch we all have. It slowly wipes out a population by making a population overwhelmingly male, overwhelmingly gay, and eventually overwhelmingly infertile. There isn't a species on Earth that isn't affected. Oh right, I think I heard about that in school. Kind of glazed over the topic though. It seemed fascinating, but before we knew it, they'd already moved on. Yeah, the general attitude towards it is that it's a future generation's problem to solve. Excluding the Ortegans, of course. For whatever reason, their case is far more advanced. They haven't got long left by the looks of things. So, tell me, have you met Jay, the dragon that works at the Café du Monde back home? Oh, yep, I've been doing deliveries there ever since they opened. Jay is really nice. He's Ty's new bassist too. The guy's talented. Anyway, he's Ortegan, rarest kind too. Very few like him left now, and seeing just how overwhelmingly gay he is, well, he certainly won't be of much help, that's for sure. That's really sad. Yeah, it is, but long story short, I got quite the lecture on DCD. It's one of the many interesting things I've learned. Weird how these opportunities stemmed from a relationship. Yeah, hey, do you ever wonder how different things would would be if you did something different. Like, imagine if I hadn't asked to sit next to you on the train 2 weeks ago. How different would things be now? Probably not all that different, to be honest. After all, it was pure chance that you were already friends with Diego. Pure chance that he would bring me out to meet you guys the very next day. I doubt much would have changed. Bad example, I guess. Well, there's a lot of other choices and actions which led me to this exact moment. There are infinite possibilities, yet this is where I've ended up. It's interesting to think what small things could have completely changed the course of my life. Yeah? Like what? You know the story of how I wound up in Woodcrest? Well, imagine if Diego didn't answer my call. What if that gave me time to cool down, and I decided not to make that crazy leap into the unknown? I would still be in Sidonia, still working that horrible job. I could have never met you, or Ty, or anyone else. Well, yeah. And the first day I worked for Lucas, Eric hurt his foot rigging up some stage lights. Lucas warned me not to, but I paid Eric a visit on a whim anyway, just to check in on him. Eric being Eric, the topic of guys came up almost right away. I sort of had to humor his questions, and humoring him is what led me to think seriously about whether I wanted to date Ty. Afterward, I went to pay him a visit, and, well, the rest is history. But all those little pieces came together to create that outcome. But if I hadn't worked for Lucas that day, what if Eric had been more careful and hadn't injured himself? What if I'd taken Lucas's advice and not gone to visit him? As far as I can see, any of those things would have produced a different outcome. Yeah, wow, it's so crazy to think about. There's so many little things that have such a big impact. I assume that you had something specific on your mind, which is why you asked me, right? Can I hear what it is? Oh, well, it's about what I said last night. Last night? Which part exactly? What do you mean, which part? The big thing I talked about, remember? I'd hoped that Axel would give me a refresher of his own free will and that I wouldn't have to admit that I'd fallen asleep. Alas, I was foolish to think that I'd have such good luck, especially considering how consistently terrible it was the rest of the time. I gotta be honest, Axel, and I'm sorry about this, but I fell asleep at some point and I don't remember what it is that we talked about. What? But we were talking about it for like an hour. Was I responding? Yes. Sort of. You're kind of mumbling mostly. Sorry, Axel, I'd had a huge day, and I don't remember any of that stuff. But I said so much. I'm sorry, but if it's any consolation, I'm here and I'm awake now. We've got nothing but time to kill. I'd be happy to listen to whatever it is you have to say. Okay, but... You better not fall asleep again. You have my word, Axel. So what's all this about, then? Well, it's kind of complicated. Like I said before, love is a crazy complicated thing. I don't really know where to start. I kind of just rambled about it last night, but I guess it helped to organize my feelings a bit. You see, it wasn't all a waste. Not helping. So one thing I'm worried about is Dom. He's been acting all weird around Russell. And Russell has been working really hard to try and set us up. He's had so many cool ideas. He brings them up and I get super excited about them. But then he goes to Dom with them, and he's always busy, always at work, always has other stuff he's doing. I don't even think some of those things are real. I think he's making up excuses. But why would he do that? You two always seem to enjoy you two always seem to join at the hip. Why wouldn't he want to go somewhere and do something cool with you? That's what I don't understand. That didn't seem like the Dom we had met in the arcade that day. Back then, he and Axel seemed as thick as thieves, and they practically did everything together. What had changed since then? What reasons were there for Dom to start shutting Axel out all of a sudden? The first thing that came to mind was them living together. There was always a significant difference between having a friend and actually living with that friend. It was always a risky venture, always something that could put untold strain on a friendship. You would quickly learn who that person really was. You would figure out all their annoying habits and frustrating quirks. While Diego and I had met as dorm mates and managed to foster a friendship regardless, there were times when it wasn't easy on either of us. Diego had a tendency to be messy for one. He was lazy when it came to his chores and would often leave things unfinished. And he could be really loud sometimes, a real pain when you're studying or sleeping. Thankfully, these bad habits of his generally improved over time, and the two of us got along so well that little things like that were usually easy to overlook. I had no doubt that he had his own series of frustrations with me as well. Could it really be that simple for Axel? Maybe living together is putting a strain on their relationship. Or perhaps it is something else related to that change in their living situation. It sure seemed like a decent hypothesis and a lead worthy of further investigation. How are things at the new apartment, Axel? Still getting on okay even though you're living together all the time? The costs aren't too expensive for either of you, are they? Things are fine, I think. Dom hasn't said anything, but he's still been acting weird. And I'm doing okay. I think Dom is too. I think it's the same thing, though. He hasn't said anything, so I don't really know for sure. If my theories held any water, it would be borderline impossible to know while Axel himself knew so little about the situation. I couldn't rule out the living situation, but I sure couldn't confirm it in any way either. So what else could it be? Employment stress? Neither had recently changed their jobs that I was aware of, and they both seemed to be fairly content in their positions as well. An illness, perhaps? I had no reason to believe Dom was ill. What else had changed? I saw no reason that my arrival in Woodcrest nor my comings and goings with Ty would have any bearing on circumstances. There had to be something else I was overlooking, something obvious. It makes me sad for Russ too. He keeps putting so much work into his plans, makes these really cool dates with all sorts of fun stuff planned, and Dom turns it down, and his hard work is wasted, again and again. It's the pheromones. He keeps smiling no matter what. He tells me it's no big deal, that we'll get it next time. I feel bad for him, but he's cheering me up instead, and every time Dom says no, I feel a little worse. Could all of this somehow be related to Russell? I had spoken with Dom on the matter several times before. I had recognized the signs early on. He had seen Russell's presence as a threat to a potential relationship between himself and Axel. I knew that one of Axel's primary concerns here was that Dom was simply not interested in going out with him, but Dom himself had stated quite the opposite, and in all fairness, Dom's behavior towards Russell had come right after I'd broached the topic with him, at least from what I could see. Axel, of course, mentioned that his behavior was so unusual. Perhaps he had put an impact on my presence to fool me into thinking that you were all buddy-buddy, when that wasn't really the case at all. Of course, it did beg the question of why Dom continually felt threatened by Russell. But there was one other clue, and a very strong clue at that, which I had yet to consider. At the hot springs, Dom had mentioned a name that was unfamiliar to me. Ethan. He had never mentioned this before, and so far had not mentioned it again either. From what I could gather, Ethan had been a friend of Dom's at some point, and their relationship had progressed into something romantic, only to fall apart catastrophically, taking the friendship with it. Of course, this theory was based on several unfounded assumptions. Could Dom's reluctance seemingly be a withdrawal prompted by the added pressure from Russell, combined with the fear of putting his friendship with Axel in danger of being irreparably harmed should things take a turn for the worse? At the very least, it seemed feasible, but knowing almost nothing concrete about the situation made it just as challenging to diagnose and address. Dom had indicated that Axel did not know about this Ethan, however, lacking in better options, I decided that asking Axel was worth a shot. Axel, have you ever heard of a person called Ethan? Huh? I went to school with an Ethan once. I scratched my chin as I considered the possibility. Axel's schooling had taken place in Somervale, but I had no idea as to where Dom had grown up. Had he even told me before? Either way, I could only assume it was not in Somerville, thus ruling out the unlikely coincidence of Ethan being Axel's classmate. I don't suppose Dom has ever mentioned that name to you, has he? No. Why? Should he have? No, I was just wondering is all. Should I ask him about it when I see him? Honestly, I wouldn't if I were you. Why not? Because I only so much as heard the name at the end of a very awkward conversation that Dom clearly didn't want to be having with me. I don't think he'd be any more pleased if it were you asking, but he'd be pissed if I said something about it to you too. Might not be anything, and asking him about it will probably make things worse. I don't think you should say anything to him about it, okay? Will you keep that to yourself for now? Okay. Which meant that beyond the unusual interactions between Dom and Russell, I had largely run dry viable options. I also doubted that pursuing that specific detail would provide the answers that Axel sought. But I also vaguely remembered something Axel had said the night before. Something about a swimming competition? Perhaps something in his story could shed some light on things? Hey Axel, I seem to recall you saying something about a swimming competition last night. What was that about? Well, what? Of course you'd remember the really awkward part. If you don't want to tell me, I understand. I'm just trying to find out as much stuff as I can to give me a fuller picture of what's going on. The more I know, the better equipped I am to help. But why that? How's that going to help you? Well, that's exactly it. I missed out on most of that story. I don't know if it'll contain anything useful, but then again, it might just contain some little detail that blows the case wide open. It's up to you if you want to tell me, though, okay? No pressure at all. Russell and I made it to the Nationals for swimming. We were the only kids in our school that did, and the Nationals were being held in Cydonia. Because it was just 2 kids, they didn't bother with high-capacity stuff like normal. They just set us up in a hotel. Coach was next door. He checked on us a bunch to make sure we weren't doing bad stuff, like there was a story in our school that were famous where a kid set fire to a mattress on a similar trip, set off the sprinklers, evacuated the whole hotel, and flooded it too. Apparently the kid cost the school 6 figures in damages. He got expelled, but he was kind of a legend years and years later at that school, which is kind of why Coach checked in on us a lot. We weren't bad kids, it was just kind of what they did after that. Anyway, there were these big gaps between our events, and the whole thing was spread over several days. The school hadn't planned anything else for us to do, didn't want to spend the money. So we spent heaps of time in our hotel room just watching lots and lots of TV and stuff. The TV back home only had 4 channels. This one had like a gazillion. They'd blocked the cool stuff though, like all the bloody movies. They didn't even let us watch M-rated. Ouch, that's rough. Every night, Coach would go to bed at like 11, so he pretended to be asleep when he came to check on us. Then, no more checks until the morning. So Russ was messing with the TV, and it went all weird all of a sudden and turned off. We were worried he'd broken it. We had nothing else to do. But then he got it working again, and when it came back up, all the cool movies were there. I learned a bunch of new swear words. Mom grounded me for repeating them, though. So it was quite late in the week, and we watched most of the cool stuff we could find. So Russ was digging deeper, seeing what he could find. Shit, I wish I'd brought popcorn. I think I can see exactly where this is headed. He found the porno channels, right? Yup, it was so weird and crazy. We'd never seen anything like that before. It was kind of confusing at first. We didn't really get why the people were doing those things, but they seemed to be having a really good time. And so, Russ suggested that we try some of them to see if they really were fun. And, yeah, that's what happened. Well, shit, how about that then? It's a fun little story, but I don't think I gleaned anything useful from it. Sorry, Axel. But I understand. Sorry, Axel, it was worth a shot. Was what we did weird? What? Nah, no way. Almost everybody has experiences like that. It's just part of growing up. And with shitty sex ed, plenty of kids wind up educating themselves in similar ways. I had an experience like that myself. But what if we really liked it? And that's awesome. Everybody wins, right? But what if we kept doing it? Well, it's like I said, experiences. It often happens more than once. Besides, it was only while you were in Sidonia, right? How long did this continue for? Until I moved to Woodcrest. But wait, I got the impression that you guys were younger when you went to that contest. Uh-huh. So you're telling me, what, a couple of years? 5. Hey, yo. Yeesh. Despite seeming like the most innocent member of my extended circle, it seemed like Axel had a wealth of very hands-on experience that none of us could have predicted or accounted for. Who knew you were such a stud, huh? We didn't do it all the time, just occasionally. It was kind of helpful, too, because we have different stuff. I'm amazed you guys got that far. Well, with that phobia of yours, I guess you're really comfortable enough with Russell by that point, huh? He's the only person I've ever been able to do that with. I see. Well, I can think of one good piece of advice to give you at least. Huh? Make sure Dom doesn't hear about it. That can only be bad news. But why? Wouldn't it be better to tell him? I don't really see that being his business. What happened in the past stays in the past, right? But healthy relationships are built on trust, and to earn trust, you have to be honest. Huh? I don't want a relationship where I have to hide things. That's not a real relationship. How could I have been so dense? Had that crazy nightmare that had taught me nothing? Of course Axel was right. It may have been an uncomfortable topic, and it might make things weird still between Dom and Russell. But at least there were no secrets to hide. At least with everything out in the open, they could start strong with mutual trust right from the get-go. Really, it was no different to how I had to tell Ty about Logan. Logan was my friend. Sure, things had happened, but no commitments had been broken. Everything was strictly above board. I wanted to date Ty, but I wouldn't do so if it cost me my friendship. No matter what had transpired, Ty would have no right to ask that of me. And Russell was Axel's friend. Sure, things had happened, but no commitments had been broken. Everything was strictly above board. Axel wanted to date Dom, but you're completely right, Axel. I'm sorry, that was bad advice. I was about to give. Bad advice I was about to give. Instead, let me impart some good advice. Only date Dom if it doesn't cost you your friendship with Russell. No matter what has transpired, Dom will have no right to ask that of you. Don't worry, I wouldn't let him anyway. Good, that's really smart of you, Axel. I reckon you'll do fine. Huh? But I haven't even told you everything yet. Yeah? Wait, what, there's more? Yeah, promise to keep this a secret? Of course, my lips are sealed. Okay, before I moved to Woodcrest, I had feelings for Russell. Aw, shit, here we go. I didn't know how to tell him. I didn't know if he felt the same. I was too scared to find out, so I ran away, to Woodcrest. I even changed my number. I just hoped that he'd just forget about me. Wait, so you did change your number on him? I didn't know what else to do, and then I started liking Dom instead, but now Russ is here too. What if Dom and I got together? Would I regret that? What if Russell feels that way about me? Would dating Dom hurt him? Or if I got together with Russ, would that hurt Dom? I don't want to hurt anybody. I'd just rather hurt myself instead, like last time. What? Axel. You did not. Axel, you did not fucking hurt yourself, did you? I understood how he felt. Just like me, he found himself amid a complex situation that posed a risk of harming the people close to him. Unfortunately for Axel, the solution to his particular set of circumstances wasn't quite so clear-cut. If he had been upfront with Russell in the first place and hadn't run away, he wouldn't have found himself in this mess. If he had the courage to act sooner in his pursuit of Dom, the two might already be together, or Axel might be free to pursue something with Russell. But instead, his cowardice had exacerbated the situation. It seemed to me like there was no easy solution. I could empathize with Axel. I certainly wouldn't want to be in his shoes, but it didn't change the fact that he was largely responsible for things getting this bad. Thankfully, it had dawned on me that Axel's fear of risking his relationship by revealing his romantic desire seemed to be a good match for what little I knew about Dom's own hesitation. It wasn't necessarily a solution, but it seemed like the best avenue to take. I think you should try talking to Dom about how you feel, that you're scared of hurting your friendships because of these romantic feelings. I have a feeling that he'll understand. He might even have some advice for you. Maybe you'll even find some common ground. What? But I'm scared. Tears began to well up in Axel's eyes. I sprung into action, offering reason, assurance, and my shoulder should it be required. I know you are, Axel, and don't worry, it's normal to find solutions like that scary. Everybody does, but just think, if you'd found the courage sooner with either Dom or Russell, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. And the longer you leave it, the messier it's gonna get. You can just wait and hope that things will work out, and you can't keep running from it. Sometimes you'll have to take the bull by its horns, and you've got friends who will be here for you, no matter what happens, okay? Myself included. I'm only a phone call away. Axel dried his tears on his shirt, a fortunate choice of black hiding the wet patch as he looked back at me, smiling appreciatively. Thanks, Aiden. I know you're right. I'll try my best. It'll work out one way or another, okay? It might not be what you're expecting. It might not be what you're hoping for, but there will come a time when you can look back and be glad that you did it. Yeah, you're really wise, Aiden. I'm actually a total idiot. I've made a heap of really stupid mistakes. The whole thing with Ty is a perfect example of that, but a wise man is not one who doesn't make mistakes. A wise man makes many mistakes, but learns from every single one. That even sounded wise. You're amazing, Aiden. Do you feel that way too, with what is happening with Ty? Precisely the same way. I know I'm in this situation because of the mistakes I've made along the way, and I know that the only way forward is to take responsibility for all those mistakes and do the right thing. And I also know there's no guarantee things are going to work out the way I want them to, and if that's what happens, I only have myself to blame. But at the very least, while I'll no doubt regret the mistakes I've made, I will not regret doing the right thing now. Yeah, good luck, Aiden. Good luck to you too, Axel. And remember that I'm here if you need me. Even if I'm going through my own thing, don't hesitate to call on me if you need me, okay? Yep, same to you. I know I'm maybe not the best at that stuff, but I'll try my hardest. Good afternoon, passengers. We'll be arriving at the station in Woodcrest shortly. Once you've stopped, please gather any luggage you may have brought on board and make your way off the train in an orderly fashion. Thank you for riding with us, and please enjoy your time in Woodcrest. Oh, we're arriving already? Time flies, huh? Yeah, time flies. Just mentally preparing for the conversation with Ty. Our train had finally rolled into the station at Woodcrest as a flurry of impatient passengers shot out of their seats and began congesting the aisles in a frantic bid to depart quickly. Both Axel and I had more sense, remaining patiently seated until the bulk of foot traffic had cleared. A stressed-looking conductor stood by the exit, fruitlessly struggling to keep proceedings orderly. At one point, she glanced over to us and delivered an appreciative smile. Eventually, it was our turn to depart, and both Axel and I stood as a passenger rudely pushed ahead, knocking Axel off his feet and back into his seat. The conductor stopped the man at the exit, forcing him to stand aside as she beckoned us over with that same appreciative smile. Axel and I obliged, making our exit as the rude man scowled in our direction. Yo, is it Glenn? In stark contrast to our previous arrival in Woodcrest, the crowds did not so quickly disperse. Instead, the platform was a whirlwind of passengers, with both arrivals and departures whipping themselves into a vicious flurry of sweaty bodies and muffled voices. As we disembarked, Axel and I worked quickly to secure a quieter location where the two of us could speak. The spot we ended up with was only meters away from the bench on which I'd waited Diego's arrival 2 weeks prior. So, what's the plan now? Didn't you say exactly the same thing the last time we were here? Did I? Sorry, I didn't mean to. What are you sorry for? I'm just pointing it out. It's kind of funny is all. Oh, okay. The plan is to find Ty and give him his gift. Hopefully he'll like it as much as I'm expecting. And hopefully seeing me won't be an unpleasant surprise. It won't be. I bet he's going to be real glad to see you. I grinned, admiring Axel's positivity. I knew it wouldn't be quite so simple, but I hoped that Axel would be right about it regardless. It was nice seeing you, Axel. Good luck with your thing. I'm sure it'll work out one way or another, too. That'll be nice. Good luck to you, too. See you when I see ya. Oh god. There's like so much going on right now. I waved at Axel as he turned away and made his departure from the station. My first order of business would be to walk to Ty's house. I didn't know if he would be home or not, but it was fairly close by and in the same direction as the bar. I could have called ahead, but I preferred that my visit remained a surprise for as long as possible. After all, what is a birthday? What is a birthday without a pleasant and unexpected surprise? At least I hoped it would be pleasant. I really, really hoped. The brief journey from the station had only taken a few minutes, and before I knew it, I was traveling the narrow path that led to Ty's front door. It hadn't been all that long since I'd last visited here, yet somehow it felt like an eternity. A lot had happened, unexpected twist after unexpected twist, and to say the whole thing with Apollo was an unexpected twist would be an understatement of the millennium. Perhaps today would mark the end of those twists, or perhaps it would start being more positive going forward. Dun, dun, da, 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 da. I stopped dead on Ty's sort of cliche welcome mat. I never paid it any mind, but at the moment my mind was frantically searching for any kind of distraction. Beware of the cat. I rolled my eyes, though I was sure that Joe would have appreciated it. By now my heart was already pounding in my chest, but I was here, his gift in hand, and the time was now. I suddenly became conscious that I had nervously knocked on somebody's door for 3 consecutive days. I was more than ready for a break from the door knocking. I'm just gonna censor everything. I shook myself to attention, having caught my brain beginning another tangent. I took a deep breath and reached my hand forward. As soon as I pressed the doorbell, the pounding in my chest grew noticeably more rapid than before. More than ever, I could empathize with Axel and the fears with which he grappled. But just like with his situation, I knew the quicker I faced it, the quicker I could finally be done with it. I stood on that silly doormat for quite some time without hearing so much as a peep from inside. It didn't seem likely at all that Ty would not have been home, but I sincerely hoped he wasn't working on his birthday. Or maybe I didn't. At least if he was at the bar, he'd be easy to locate. I pressed the button once again just in case he was home and had simply missed the first ring. Alas, the second time yielded no better result, not a peep from within, nor any other signs of life. I sighed. Of course it wouldn't have been that easy. I stepped away from the door and headed back towards the sidewalk. My next destination would be Ty's bar, a location far more likely to bear fruit, but also a location fraught with danger. You see, a certain displeased dingo would be working today, and I seemed to recall something about kneecaps. I made a mental note to shield my legs, wishing that I had some kind of protective gear on hand. The walk had eaten up a good 20 minutes or so, but I had finally arrived at my former workplace. Compared to Somerville, Woodcrest was much more spread out. Though I was perfectly happy living where I was, somewhere where I'd made so many friends in such a short time. Somewhere far, far away from the unrivaled terror instilled by Beth and the deplorable evil of Joe's sense of humor. Well, well, well. You got some nerve turning up here after that stunt you pulled. Hope you've got taxi money because you ain't gonna be walking home, huh? I told you I'd be coming for your kneecaps. Oh no, anything but my kneecaps. If you're gonna, break kneecaps or whatever, can you dudes do it, outside or something? I literally just mopped up the last spot of blood. Yeah, who else's kneecaps have you been breaking, Diego? Hey, it wasn't me. Some stupid kid ran into the glass store and shattered it. Blood and glass everywhere. It was such a mess. Shit, really? Both doors were intact when I came through. Duh. Blazer's been gone and everything is already cleaned up real nice. Though it's only early yet. If that's how the day's starting off, I ain't looking forward to seeing what happens next. I can't imagine Ty is too pleased either. Sounds like a hefty bill and some boring paperwork to me. Aw, hell. He won't be, my dude. But, we'd have to tell him first. Wait, something like that happens and you haven't even told him? Yo, it's not like we didn't try, but it's the guy's birthday and he's got his phone switched off or some shit. Gone totally AWOL on us. Kinda like someone else I know. I sighed regretfully. I felt bad enough about letting Diego down without him having to rub salt in the wound every chance he got. And that, plus the revelation that Ty wasn't at the bar and was otherwise unreachable, put quite a damper on my mood. Having no better ideas, I approached the counter and seated myself in one of the stools. I looked up at Russell, who was diligently polishing a series of glasses, and made an inquiry. Hey Russell, got much training done in the bar yet? Oh, like, yeah man, Ty's been giving me heaps of training. I feel kinda like my head is bursting or something. Got your pina coladas figured out yet? Only learned those like yesterday, my dude, but I think I've like got them down pat. Alright then, hit me with one of those, please. With the last few days I've had, my thirst can only be quenched with alcohol. Right on, my dude, won't be long. Russell cheerfully skittered away to retrieve the ingredients he would need as Diego turned towards me, continuing the conversation. Ever since you left, Ty's been all over this poor guy. Already knows every dish in the kitchen and over half the damn bar. I didn't know that much for 3 whole months. He's doing real well though, and I admit, the days we're on together, I have a big dumb smile on my face. Gets shit done and is great company besides. Who knew he'd turn out to be such an asset? Well, Ty did, I guess. He hired him on a hunch, more or less. But it's panning out really well. I guess when you've been running businesses for a while, you find a knack for knowing who to hire? Well, I don't know about that. He hired my fat ass like a year or so ago. But he's still kicking himself about that. Not so much. He said some nice stuff about you. Stuff like how when you're on the spot, you're super capable and do good work. And hey, you're fat ass. I thought you gained the weight more recently. Oh yeah, that's right, actually. I'm still pretty new when I made the mistake of getting involved with that stupid ass raptor. All sort of snowballed from there. Pal, get it back off, you watch. Anyway, you've got some explaining to do. I've got so many questions and no damn answers, and I think you owe me some. Yeah, I know. Shit, where to even start? I still hadn't quite processed how to deliver the bad news to Diego, telling him that I couldn't share almost anything about Apollo I had spoken about. I knew he wouldn't be happy. I decided to avoid that topic for now and focus on the other things, hoping that Diego would neglect to bring the Apollo situation. Although I knew that was particularly unlikely, especially considering it was what fueled basically everything that followed. Well, I kind of realized yesterday that I'd been a bit of a dick to Ty, like the whole thing I overheard. I'm confident now that I took it way out of context. It wasn't what I thought it was. Worse yet, I'd said all this crap about having faith in him only to so quickly assume the worst. I also realized that I loved him. It happened without me realizing it. When he and I met at the cafe, it hit me hard. Jay had to escort my teary ass back home. I realized that I'd made a terrible mistake and acted without knowing the full story. I realized that I wanted to make things right. So last night I took the last train out to Somerville. There's a specialty liquor store down there, and they had a bottle of something that Ty has really wanted for a long, long time. I fetched that, then kinda got caught out there where no hotels or anything in my price range with vacancies. I was just about to settle for an alleyway when Axel found me. He was in town visiting his parents and had gone out to fetch takeout. I ended up going back home with him and sharing dinner with his family. Like, dude, you've met Beth and Joe? The way I hear it, they're totally nutso. I don't know about nutso, especially Joe. Worst thing about him is his awful jokes. Other than that, I actually really like him. Beth, though, well, let's just say I'm going to do my damnedest to never wind up on her bad side. I didn't even bother correcting her when she called me the wrong name. Every single time. That's like super wise, my dude. If she likes you, she's great, if a little intense. But if she's mad at you about something, whoa man, she's like totally terrifying. There were a couple of times when Joe did something and she pulled him up on it. It was like a thin layer of sweetness covering something evil. Exactly, my dude. I got on her bad side once and whoo boy, I never like made that mistake again. But so long as you watch your manners and all that, she's like totally fine, man. You just gotta ignore it when she calls you something totally like random or whatever. You know, I think she mentioned you a couple of times. It's hard to say considering the variety of different names she called you, but she seemed to miss your visit. Kept lamenting the fact that you and Axel hadn't gotten hitched or something. Oh yeah, that's another thing she like does, my dude. If you walk through that door with Axel, you're automatically a couple or something like that. Yo, remind me never to go to Somerville with Axel. She sounds like a piece of work. She ain't so bad, my man. You just gotta avoid making her angry. At all costs. Nope, nuh-uh. No way, I won't go. You can't make me, and that's that. And weren't you supposed to be making Aiden a pina colada? Alright, I came to ask you if you'd like seen the coconut cream. There's no open can in the fridge, done stacked up in the pantry. Not that I can see, my dude. Did any arrive with today's delivery? Haven't unpacked it yet on account of all the blood. Good idea. Back with you both soon, my dudes. So, apart from Axel's mom sounding like the scariest shit I've ever seen, what else? Well, I stayed the night with him, shared breakfast with the family this morning. Turns out they're just as crazy for passion fruit as we are. Yo, good taste. Maybe this Beth lady ain't so bad after all. After that, we rode the train back. Axel and I talked along the way. He sort of clued me in on what's happening between him and Dom. Oh, I know about that weird thing that Russell is doing with his stupid-ass name, but I didn't know it'd gone anywhere. Yeah, that's just it. It hasn't. Sounds a bit like Dom's avoiding it, and that's got Axel kind of worried. Damn, dude. That ain't happy news for a Monday. What do you reckon the problem is? I don't know exactly. I feel like Dom has some problem on his end that he hasn't told us about. He mentioned something vaguely like that a few days back, but he really didn't want to elaborate any further. On that topic, the name Ethan doesn't mean anything to you, does it? Nope, nothing. Sorry, dude. It's alright. Was worth a try. The whole situation is a lot more complicated than just that. But the rest are things that I probably shouldn't repeat. At least right now. I gave Axel a pep talk about it all anyway. Hopefully things change for him pretty soon. Yeah, dude, definitely. Dude, it's bad news. No coconut cream in the delivery. I think we're, like, out, my dudes. That's not like Ty, but I guess he's had a lot on his mind recently. Sorry, Aiden. I can't, like, do a pina colada or anything without it. It's alright. Truth be told, I came here hoping to find Ty, but it's clear he isn't around. Time's ticking. I need to track him down. Give him this gift while it's still his birthday. Hey, you ain't going nowhere until you've told me what went down at Spencer's Manor. You said you'd tell me later, and it's later right now. Actually, I said I'd talk to you about it tonight at home. I still need time to figure everything out. Please, keep being patient, Diego, and I promise I'll be home tonight. Just like you promised to call me if you weren't coming home. Sorry, dude, but I don't have a lot of faith in your bullshit right now. Dudes, is like everything okay or whatever? Yeah, I've just made a total mess of so many things. This is one of them. I'm sorry, Diego. I won't make excuses for forgetting to call you, and I'm not making excuses about the other thing either. Fine, but next time you fess up. Next time you mess up, those kneecaps are mine. Alright, deal. Just not at the bar, please, my dudes. If you're lucky, Russell. By this point, my departure was long overdue, but there was one significant problem that stood in my way. Where the hell would I try next? Where else would Ty even be? It was too early for brand practice. I reached into my pocket and retrieved my phone. Found it just as dead as it had been when I plugged in the Axel's charger that morning. I hadn't left it there long, so it made sense the battery had run out once again. My phone is dead. Do any of you guys mind trying Ty again for me? Just on the off chance you can reach him and find out where he is. On it, my dude. So, what are you going to do about Larry? Larry? Who's Larry? You know, Larry, the guy you, did the thing with. Logan? Logan, right, Logan. You're just as bad as Beth. How dare you? I resent the implication. I'm just going to come clean with Ty about it all. I want to remain Logan's friend as well. I don't know what's going to happen or how he's going to take it. But the sooner I can find the guy and tell him, the sooner I can put all this crap behind me. Good luck, man. I know how much you care about him. I really hope it works out. But if it does, for fuck's sake, no more breakups. I'm sick of all this damn drama in my life. Speak for yourself. Imagine how I feel. Sorry, my dudes. It's still going, like, straight to his voicemail. Maybe he's just having, like, a lazy day at home or something. Already paid him a visit at home. No answer when I rang the doorbell a couple of times. And he wouldn't be at band practice or anything. Surely. He's always done that during the evenings. It's his birthday, so maybe he's hanging out with old bestie? Lucas? Shit, that's not a half bad idea, but if they're together, where would I find him? Oh, Dom texted me before. Lucas is definitely at work today. Apparently Eric is even more on the warpath than usual. What? Oh, hell, are you serious? First Beth, then my kneecaps, now I have to tiptoe around Eric as well? If there's a god out there, he's one cruel son of a bitch. Hey, for the record, your kneecaps are safe. At least for now. And you ain't gonna let a greasy rodent keep you from your beloved tiger, are you? Yeah, good point. At least Eric is just horny. I can handle horny. So I'm told. Oh, shut up. For that, I'm leaving. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Seriously, though, don't or Russell will be pissed. Good luck, my dude. We'll totally, like, find him. Just you wait. I smiled at Diego and Russell, and I hopped out of my seat and turned towards the newly replaced glass door, taking special care not to break it as I headed outside and headed in the direction of Lucas's office, which was only a few blocks away. Before I knew it, I was passing through the thankfully non-glass doors of Lucas's office and making my way to the work area. As soon as I turned the final corner, Dom's eyes shot up, having spotted me within an instant. He gave a half-hearted smile before sliding his chair back and leaving his spot behind the desk, closing the distance to greet me. Hey, I didn't expect to see you here on your day off. Also, kind of thought you were dead until I got that message from you this morning. Oh, and Diego says he's going to break your kneecaps. Yep, he told me, a bunch of times actually. Don't think I've ever heard the word kneecaps so many times in one day. Sorry that I didn't get back to you. One thing led to another, and before you know it, I was sharing dinner with Axel and his family in Somervale. What? How'd that come to pass? Long story, I'd fill you in, but I'm a little pressed for time right now. The short version is, I know I fucked up with Ty and I want to make things right. I went to Somervale to get him something special for his birthday, kinda got stranded there, and Axel found me purely by chance. Spent the night there and rode the train back with him this morning, and now I'm trying to track Ty down so I can give that gift to him. The problem is, he's unreachable and isn't at the bar or his house. I was kind of hoping Lucas might know. Right, I take it things went well with Spencer? It's a really complicated story. Can I come back to you when I have more time? Just tell me one thing. All the shady dealings, all the weird high-end contracts, all the covered tracks. Should I still be worried? Is Lucas in over his head? Short answer, no. Spencer is nothing to be worried about. You have my word. Thanks, I believe you. It's actually a load off my mind. I've had so much going on lately. It's nice to be able to stop worrying about something for a change. So, Lucas, I should warn you, he's having something of a bad day. Let me guess, rodent trouble? Isn't it always? Among other things, though. Cutter just swiped a big contract Lucas thought we had in the bag. Some huge world-famous band was going to be playing a gig here. Lucas quoted them a sharp piece for an all-inclusive service, and you know him, quality comes first. Apparently, Cutter undercut him by a double-digit percentage. Not only that, but there were some concerns about our ability to staff it. Well, with having so few permanent staff and relying on casual workers. Lucas got the bad news this morning. He's not happy. Shit, that's awful. And then Eric giving him grief on top. Surprised Eric hasn't wound up in an ambulance. Yet, might still happen. My fingers are crossed at least. Well, hopefully I can catch Lucas's good side. I really need his help. Lucas's good side? Every side of Lucas is a good side. Believe me, I've checked. Dom shook his head, dismayed by the arrival of a professional nuisance and our favorite co-worker. My expression couldn't be all that different, but Eric was entirely undeterred, smiling his cheesy buck-toothed grin as his whiskers twitched excitedly. Must be my lucky day. I was expecting a second lot of eye candy to turn up. I've barely seen you. I don't know whether to be pleased or insulted. Oh, come now, Dom, baby. You know I'm not leaving you out. I've got a special place for you. In your heart. In my loins. God give me strength. So Aiden, too busy getting hot and heavy with that hunky tiger to pay your old pal to visit, eh? Don't worry, nobody can blame me for it. I've got to try me a tiger one of these days. Those stripes are enough to make me weak in the kneecaps. I swear, if I hear the word kneecaps one more time... Eric? Yes, my sweet fox? Make yourself useful. Aiden is looking for Lucas, and I know you've been keeping tabs on his whereabouts. What do you take me for? He's in the maintenance room, banging away at something. Now, I know what you're both thinking, but get in line. For the love of... Can you just take him? I bet I could. I mean, escort him to the maintenance room. Oh, Aiden, I'll be your escort any day. I don't get paid enough for this. It was clear that Dom's patience had run dry a long while ago as he staggered back towards his desk in a miserable stupor. To be honest, I was glad that Ty had given me so many hours that I had barely worked for Lucas at all. Or else, I too would have gone completely insane by now. Though this also stressed the urgency of getting that job back. Working with Lucas was my only gig right now, and I didn't expect that Eric's presence was a sufficient justification for hazard pay. This way... I'm gonna bring up the thing because I'm scared. Eric began to lead the way down the hallway, turning a corner into a corridor I don't think I've ever gone down. Lucas's office was an old building that Lucas had renovated, part of to facilitate his business. The expectation was that other businesses would fill the gaps. For some reason, they never did, and so wandered too far from the well-lit and modernized section we have usually worked in, and the office turned into something of a labyrinth, the construction shifting from recently renovated to over a century old in a snap. Until now, I hadn't seen this firsthand, having not needed to venture so deep into the bowels of the building. But now that I had, I was almost glad for Eric's company. If he hadn't been there, I'd have probably gotten lost. Dom is such a cranky guy sometimes. It's okay, I know it's been a rough day. I'll happily give him a message if he asked. Hey, what about you? Feeling stiff by any chance? I can help with that. You know, I've got magic fingers. I retract my previous statement. Getting lost was preferable to this, and it took every last shred of willpower I had in me not to punt him straight out one of the dirty windows. You know, on days like today, when everyone is feeling down, I take my job real seriously. Nobody can stay grumpy forever when I'm on a mission to put a smile on their dial. You know, it doesn't sound like that's been going particularly well for you so far. You mean Dom? Aw, he loves me, really. I kinda doubt that. Honest, mark my words, you'll see. Since when have you been into Dom anyway? I thought Lucas was your bread and butter. He is. Oh shit. I've got just enough love for everybody. I'm generous like that. So anyway, how's your sex life? That's none of your business. Ooh, that good, huh? Enough to make a poor rat jealous? Gonna ask me about mine? I wasn't planning on it. Bah, you're no fun. So what's the occasion anyway? What do you need Lucas for? I'm trying to track down Ty. It's his birthday and I want to give him his gift. Ooh, a birthday gift. What's he getting? Laid, right? He's definitely getting laid. No, Shh, it's okay. For what it's worth, I couldn't think of a better gift. Ty's one lucky guy, that's for sure. Anyway, here's the place. Our agonizing journey together had met its end as we both stood at a door labeled maintenance room. Eric held his ear to the door, listening intently for several seconds. There was nothing but silence until... A knowing look spread across Eric's face, accompanied by his usual cheeky grin. Still going strong by the sounds of it. I do so love a man with stamina. Eric raised his knuckles and knocked on the maintenance storeroom in a bid to capture Lucas's attention. What now? For the last damn time, I told you not today. When Lucas's voice came back to us, it did so with an aggravated tone, and honestly, I couldn't blame him one bit. I was a bit curious as to what sort of request Lucas had declined. Oh, but you've got a cute visitor at the door, hot stuff. Get the hell out of here, Eric. Don't make me ask you again. Oh, you thought I was talking about me? So you do think I'm cute, huh? The hell are you talking about? It's your lucky day. There's a cute husky here who can't wait to see you. Husky? This better not be some prank of yours, Eric, I swear. Heard the sound of tools being placed on the metal countertop, followed by the distinctive clip-clop sound that Lucas made when he walked on hard surfaces. Finally, the handle turned and the door swung open. Aiden? What are you? I didn't know you were coming. Heh, not to worry, Hotshot. You'll always know when I'm coming. Lucas groaned in sheer agony as he pressed his finger and forethumb around the bridge of his nose. Squeezing tightly for several moments, was he trying to relieve a headache? The best solution seemed to be the many windows in this part of the building combined with the rat and a good hefty kick. Get the hell out of here, Eric. Only because you asked so nicely. In an unexpected turn of events, Eric did as he was instructed, turning away and walking away, nay, prancing down the dimly lit hallway, back in the direction of poor Dom, who would no doubt be thrilled to see his safe return. As Eric finally vanished from sight, Lucas's frown eased as he looked over to me. Sorry, if I'd known it was you, you'd have gotten a warmer welcome. Don't apologize, I understand completely. Actually, I've been fantasizing about kicking him out of these windows for the past few minutes. What do we keep saying, Lucas? What do we keep saying? Got a stick primed and ready for poking your dead body. Wipe that fucking smile off the place. Off your face. Wouldn't that be a most unfortunate workplace accident? A tragedy for sure. I don't know how you'd cope without him for a few weeks while his ruptured spleen and broken bones are mending. Oh, I'm sure we managed. Don't worry about that. You know, I was thinking of investing in some heavier duty stage lights. The ones we have don't make a big enough impact. Maybe next time one will drop on his head instead. Knock some sense into him. Maybe even fix whatever the hell's wrong with him. That would be something, alright. An old bull can only dream. Now, I assume you aren't visiting just for the banter. Come. Let's talk in my office. Lucas set off, beckoning for me to follow as he led us back through the hallways, in the direction of our destination. As we entered the common area and slipped into his office, I briefly caught a glimpse of Eric leaning on Dom's desk, his elbows on the table and his chin in his hands. He was grinning that awful skeevy grin of his as he leisurely wobbled from side to side. The expression on Dom's face couldn't be any more different. He quite literally looked as though he wanted to die. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Once inside, Lucas gestured toward the chair closest to the door as he pulled the blinds shut and flipped the lock so that we wouldn't be overheard. As I got comfortable, he circled the perimeter of the room to arrive in his large and distinctly comfortable-looking chair, seating himself and looking over toward me expectantly. Now then, I wasn't expecting your visit, but your timing gives me several big clues as to what this might be about. I'll save you the trouble of guessing. It's related to Ty's birthday. I thought so. That raises some other questions, though. Apollo and I have spoken at length. Apollo? How did you... Myself and a couple of friends had an eye on him for a while, but ultimately the only reason we managed to track him down at all was because he wanted me to find him. Turns out I'm sensitive to pheromones too, and I managed to get pretty messed up from my proximity to Ty and my brief run-ins with Apollo. Apparently, Ty had suspected as much, and Apollo was watching carefully. He had me pay him a visit. He revealed everything, and plied me with medication for good measure. Then he sent me down to Somerville to fetch this. I lifted the brown paper bag onto Lucas's desk and peeled it down to reveal the logo. That's... Apollo actually found it? I tried to find a bottle for Ty myself years back, searched every nook and cranny. I was convinced there were no bottles left in the wild. Where did he possibly... I suppose he has his ways. Wait, Apollo gave it to you? It had only recently turned up, apparently. I was waiting at a store in Somerville. He wanted me to fetch it and give it to Ty myself. Said it would be like a proper ending for their relationship and a blessing for ours. I understand. Well, make no mistake. Giving this to him will be bittersweet, but you will also be making Ty very happy, and I know he will understand Apollo's message. As for how we respond to it all... That I can't say. Sorry. Anything Apollo gets involved in is well above my level of understanding. I make an effort not to ask questions. It's a mistake I've made before. I understand. Either way, I intend to find out firsthand, but right now, that's the problem. That's why I'm here. I can't reach him. Seems like his phone is switched off. He's not at home, nor is he at the bar. Diego and Russell have no idea where he's gone. I'm really hoping that you might know. If you're asking me, he's told me his plans for today. If you're asking if he's told me his plans for today... Sorry, he hasn't. With everything that's happened to him recently, I only assume he will enjoy a quiet day at home. but you say he isn't there. He often distracts himself with work, but he's not there either. There's no practice today. He said that he needed extra time to work on this new song we're supposed to be playing at the concert in a few days. He's kind of lost his mojo or something. It never used to take him this long. Shit, so you have no idea either, huh? You're wrong. I know exactly where he is. Eh? Think carefully. I'm pretty sure that you know the answer as well. It's his birthday. He's struggling to write a song and needs to be able to focus on that. He's upset with everything that's happened. Where would he go? I resented Lucas a little for playing this game with me. If he knew where Ty was, why couldn't he just say so and get this over with? I decided to play along regardless of my frustration and scoured my memory for conversations that might contain clues. A place he might go when he feels sad, a place he might visit on his birthday, a place where he likes to write music. There is this place in the north of town, tucked deep within the forest and nestled away in the hills, which has the most beautiful view of Woodcrest you will ever see. It is so very quiet and peaceful there. The path that leads to it was near where we set off from earlier. I found myself at rock bottom, enjoying the silence in that spot overlooking Woodcrest one evening, and Lucas found me. He brought cake with him. I had not even realized it was my 17th birthday. I was glad that he found me when he did. The three of us spent so much time there. I have so many fond memories. Lucas and I sat with her again in that beautiful spot overlooking the town. We spoke to her for hours and hours. I told her all about my aspirations, all the things I wanted to do. The Overlook, north of town, that's where he is. Without a doubt, it's a peaceful place, quiet and serene. There's nothing to distract him from the sound of his guitar. It is a place with a lot of sentimental value for him, especially on his birthday. That is where you will find him. Thanks, Lucas. I owe you one. The debt will be paid off if you do right by Ty. That is all I ask, and no doubt what you are going to do anyway. You're right about that. I'm going to make this right, even if that means we stay apart. Even if he won't forgive me, at the very least, I'm going to make it right. You're important to him, Aiden, and Apollo believes in you. Took a big risk to make this happen, and I believe in you too. Good luck. Put that smile back on his face for me. I'm tired of all the moping. You know, Eric seems to think he's the king of cheering people up. Maybe I should just send him in my stead? Good idea. There's a nice steep clip up here just begging to have an irritating rodent thrown off it. Now that's a birthday present Ty would not forget for many years to come. Lucas and I continued our back and forth for some time, our shared distaste for the raunchy rap evidently becoming something that has brought us closer. All good things must come to an end, however, and I was already on borrowed time. I said my farewells to Lucas and Dom and Eric receiving little more than an obligatory nod before I finally left the office and set course for the dense forest north of town where I hope to track down an overlook with the most beautiful view of Woodcrest I would ever see. And in that overlook, I hope to find Ty. I hope to give him his gift. I hope to apologize. I hope to be honest with him, and I hope for his forgiveness, for this love. That all was not yet lost, and that maybe, just maybe, we could give our relationship one last try. I was determined, and at long last, it was time to make things right. Let's just... Oh my god. Long before I laid eyes upon my former companion, I knew I had found the right place. As I approached, I heard the soothing sounds of an acoustic guitar accompanied by the velveteen timbre of Ty's wonderful voice as he sang a somber song. Arriving in the clearing's entrance, I saw the location Ty had once described firsthand. Despite needing to brave the forest to reach it, this grassy knoll was incredibly open and exposed with a solitary tree situated towards its center being the sole source of shade. It was beneath that tree that Ty sat, strumming each chord with ease expected of a professional guitar player with every note of his melancholy melody ringing through the gentle fall breeze. I quickly found myself captivated by his performance and the sorrowful beauty of his somber symphony. Frozen in awe as his lyrics ensnared me, I would not interrupt and would instead enjoy the music, waiting until its conclusion before making my presence known. He severed the roots and said goodbye. He turned his back and walked away. Time again these tears are dry. The memory haunts me to this day. It sounded as though he had written this song about his relationship with Apollo. Things had ended suddenly, and while the two were still deeply in love with one another, I could not imagine the pain of being forced apart by circumstances like that. The way Apollo had spoken about Ty and the actions he took to bring him happiness even so long after the two went their separate ways, these things told me just how special a bond the two of them shared, and how tragic it was that things came to such an unexpected end. What becomes of the broken heart? What little survived my many missteps, my countless mistakes? What remains of the man I was before we parted? I only wish to make things right no matter what it takes. Ty's song was full of regret for the mistakes he had made. Though this song evoked confusion within me, nothing that Apollo had told me about their relationship suggested any wrongdoing on Ty's part. Was there something Apollo had neglected to tell me? A new light dawns, a smiling face, a surprise encounter that dried my tears. He led me away from that sorrowful place, before he fell victim to unfounded fears. The next verse spoke of a new dawn, of someone's arrival that helped to dry Ty's tears and leave his sorrows behind. That person was me. He was singing those beautiful words about me. An apology made my heartfelt plea. A tearful hug, a brand new start. For numbered days we found such glee, before we two had come apart. And now he sang of our parting, that new dawn light so quickly extinguished. I could feel the pain in his words. It was a pain that was mutual. I wanted so badly to step in, to interrupt the trajectory of the song, to avert the heartbreaking conclusion. But interrupting the song would change nothing. It was a ballad that told a factual tale and one I had come here to change. If I changed reality, so too would the song change with it. I only hoped such a thing would be possible. Like a fool, his love I lost. Undisclosed, his trust betrayed. I kept my secrets at all costs. Costs I then would have to pay. Ty. He severed the roots and said goodbye. He turned his back and walked away. Time again these tears I dry. The memory haunts me to this day. What becomes of me broken-hearted? What little survived my many missteps, my countless mistakes? What remains of the man I was before we parted? And still I wish to make things right no matter what it takes. I do too, Ty, no matter what it takes. This foolish man, his heart it aches. Carries the burden of many regrets. Though learn he did from those careless mistakes, his sorrow he cannot. The music ceased as Ty released a labored sigh with slumped shoulders. He then reached over, lifting the guitar strap from around his neck and gently placed the guitar around the tree he had been sitting against. Finally, he climbed to his feet and turned toward the familiar town nestled among the towering mountains in the distance. It was almost like seeing a painting in real life as its lake gently glistened in the soothing afternoon sun. Ty reached upward and brushed his tears away using the ball of his thumb as he sadly surveyed his kingdom. I knew that now was the time to approach him, but I struggled on account of my fraught nerves. It was a big moment, one whose outcome would decide the trajectory that my future would take, and so too would have informed the ending of Ty's profoundly sad yet unimaginably beautiful ballad. Not only did his words remind me of the pain I felt, but they perfectly conveyed his own as well. I did not want to feel this way, but even more so, I did not want Ty to continue feeling this way. Feeling his pain gave rise to a bitter feedback loop, and before long I cast my feelings by the wayside, my only desire being to mend Ty's broken heart. I began my approach, the gentle wind concealing the sound of my footsteps as I watched him dry his tears once again, his magnificent violet eyes no doubt glistening in the sunlight, and finally I arrived, standing mere feet behind him. I plucked up my courage and finally spoke. That was beautiful, Ty. Aiden, my goodness, how long have you... You were already playing when I arrived, but I felt like I heard almost all of it. I'm glad I did. It's one hell of a song. It will not be if I cannot perform it. The last verse is complete, but I simply cannot bring myself to sing those words. It is a bitter conclusion, and perhaps my wounds are still too raw. Expressing yourself through music is such a great way to process what you're feeling, and intense emotions have inspired many amazing masterpieces. This song of yours is well on track to becoming one. I thank you for the vote of confidence, Aiden. My chosen subject does not make you uncomfortable, does it? If it does, I'll happily think of something else. Not at all, and even if it did, it would be such a horrific crime to rob such an incredible piece of art of its muse. I could never do that. You flatter me so, though I am pleased to receive such positive feedback. To say that writing this song has been laborious would be quite the understatement indeed. Initially, I planned to make something more akin to our earlier material to show that the new Black Claws still have venom in their fangs. I sat down to write, but before I knew it, I had half of a ballad composed. Perhaps that venom truly has run dry. I like the anger I once felt that fueled my contributions to our earlier works, that rebellious streak which was far more than merely hot air. I walked the walk, and proudly I might add. These days, my idea of rebellion is to prepare my morning coffee by pouring the boiling water instead of the milk first. And all that makes me wonder if we are the bad guys in this situation. What are you talking about? The Black Claws were a punk rock band at the outset, and we released several albums worth of songs in that style. But after that last-minute inclusion on our second album became our mainstream breakthrough, Lucas and I got our first taste of commercial viability and began our relentless pursuit. We reasoned that we no longer wanted to play the faster and more aggressive music our listeners had known us for until that point. And that was at least somewhat true. But that night Glenn visited us. He called us sellouts, suggested he was the only one still bearing our old flag. He suggested that we were the root of the band's problems, that we had betrayed our artistic integrity in pursuit of some fleeting dream of fame and fortune. And the more I think about it, the more I see it as a point. He might even be right. When I actively try to make something like our older material, I end up writing another sappy ballad instead. That is not what the Black Claws were about. That is not the band we started all those years ago, so maybe it would be fairest if we simply surrendered the name to Glenn, and he can pick up from where we left off and correct the band's musical trajectory. We can find a new name, a title for our new style and sound. We can let our music do the talking for us, and if we do well enough, we will hopefully forge ourselves a new following. What do you think, Aiden? I think that you're forgetting that the band was niche until that stylistic shift took place. The Black Claws fan base is more your fan base, and they want your music, not Glenn's. And between yourself and Lucas, you are the majority. The name should be yours to keep. It's truly worth such a hassle for just a silly name. Lucas and I have gotten out of the music business because of all the drama and struggles. We have not even played a show yet, and it seems we have already fallen right back into it. This was not what this was about. And Glenn is to blame for all that. He dragged you both back in. And after the way he spoke to you guys and put you down, he deserves a good whooping. Don't tell me you wouldn't like to wipe that smug grin off his stupid face. I suppose that could be enjoyable, and he direly needs some discipline. Exactly, so don't go getting cold feet about it all now. You've got Jay on the 4th string, and a seriously incredible new song. You have this in the bag. I cannot say that I expected you to show up so suddenly and deliver a pep talk, but it was just what I needed and when I needed it. Thank you, Aiden, but I must ask, to what do I owe the pleasure? Well, I'd gotten sidetracked with our previous conversation, but perhaps it was deliberate, an attempt to put off the more difficult conversation that was yet to come. I knew this conversation had to happen. There was no sense delaying it any further. Hidden from sight behind my back, I produced the bottle of whiskey which was still held within that same brown paper bag. With the long journey I had endured, the bag had acclimated several small rips and tears and looked rather worse for wear. Thankfully, the contents within were unscathed. That was what mattered the most. Happy birthday, Ty. I'm so sorry that the bag is so tatty. It's been through quite the journey getting it to you. I presented him with the gift as he looked back with confusion and uncertainty. After a brief window of hesitation, he gingerly accepted it before reaching inside and grasping the neck of the bottle, sliding it free from the bag to reveal the label. In an instant, his eyes widened in surprise. He stood silently, staring in disbelief at the whiskey held in his claw-tipped hands before finally shifting his gaze to me, his expression unchanged. This is you. You must have... Ty cut a stammered sentence short before closing his eyes briefly. A look of knowing sadness then spread from cheek to cheek to chin to brow. And he locked eyes with me, his lip wavering ever so slightly as he spoke his next words. Apollo gave this to you, did he not? He's the one who tracked it down, but he had me to go to Somerville on short notice to fetch it for you. I took the last train of the night and got stranded where I couldn't find accommodation. I was prepared to spend the night on the street, but thankfully Axel was in town visiting his parents. I spent the night with his family and came back this morning. I've been searching for you ever since. What did he tell you? Surely he would not have... I know about his immortality. I know that you two are an item, and I know that the sickness resulting in his pheromones caused the untimely end of your relationship, an affliction that I now suffer from as well. I know the tale of his life, from his time in the bunker with Dr. Marston to Hades laying waste to his kingdom, from when he and Artemis reunited until his death divided them once again, and I know he came to Woodcrest soon after and became one of the 3 founders. I see. That sounds like the full story. It was very foolish to tell you all of this. He so much as repeated the wrong thing. I know. The UMC might find him, and they might do something terrible to him. He told me all about that, too. He trusts me to keep that secret, and he told me he regrets that his secrets have caused us to split up. He wants you to be happy, Ty. He always did. When he told me he was going to track down a bottle of this stuff, it was because he wanted to make me happy. He knew how much I wanted one. But I have searched high and low, and so have many others, all without so much as a modicum of success. I had not expected that he would be successful. To tell you the truth, I'd forgotten all about it. And that after all of this time, he chose you to be the one to finish the job and present this gift to me. He said that you would understand. I do, and it is more bittersweet than you could ever imagine. I actually saw him last night. He did not show that he had anything like this in the works, that wily raven. By now, you'd think I would have learned to expect such tricks from him. But yes, his message is loud and clear. He is saying goodbye. It is a gesture of finality, and that he had you to be the one to deliver conveys a similarly obvious message. A silence fell between us as Ty once again became transfixed, staring at the bottle. He began turning it over in his hands as if to check that it was a match of the many fond memories he had of it. As he continued, he spoke once again without looking away from his gift. I know I told you of this place, but it seems highly coincidental that you knew I'd be here on this exact date. Would I be correct in saying that Apollo was not the only person who aided you in your arrival here today? You're right. When I couldn't find you, I visited Lucas, and he helped me to figure out where you would be. He said you'd come here every year on your birthday ever since your 17th. That is indeed correct. I know I told you about that day, though. Did you understand the reason that I came here? And so I found myself at rock bottom, enjoying the silence in that spot overlooking Woodcrest one evening, and Lucas found me. He had brought a cake with him. I had not even realized it was my 17th birthday. I was glad that he found me when he did. I did understand why Ty had come here that day. It was something much too horrible to imagine. The overlook ended only a few short meters ahead of where we now stood, giving way to a sheer drop whose height caused my stomach to turn uncomfortably. No. No. It was not a fall anyone could expect to survive. Damn it. I'm really glad that Lucas found you when he did. I hate to think of what might have happened if he hadn't. As do I, my dear. As do I. How did he even know where to find you? That was really clever of him. I'm glad he was in the right place at the right time. Indeed it was. Do not let his often blunt and to the point nature fool you. In a battle of wits, I would receive quite the trouncing. What, seriously? Seriously, people constantly underestimate him, and without fail, those people look like fools time and time again. Makes for excellent entertainment. But to answer your question comes with quite a story. I will come back to that detail in due course. He had chosen that moment to confront me, arriving in this very place. Despite the hard feelings between us, he dropped everything to be here, and in doing so saved my life. I'm so very lucky to have him. I'm so lucky to be alive. I owe him a debt I could never repay. Despite his insistence to the contrary, and every year since, I mark the anniversary of that very day by coming here to remember and to reflect. Usually I have company. Sometimes this is Lucas, sometimes this is a partner. This was the first time in many years I came alone. With everything that had happened, I suppose I needed some space. I'm not surprised Lucas knew I would be here. I hope he understands. And perhaps the fact that company would find me regardless, with both Lucas and Apollo acting as catalysts, perhaps it is fate. Ty considered the validity of the implication, scratching his chin as he stared off into space. I didn't rightly know if I believed in fate. I wondered if that was not the case for Ty. Hey Ty, do you believe in fate? Do you think that our lives have some kind of meaning? I did, once, but it was the very experiences that almost cost me my life all those years ago which have robbed me of such wishful optimism. I realized the insignificance of our existence, became cognizant that in the grander scheme of all that may be, our lives, they have no meaning. Those were the very thoughts that haunted my perception of reality as I stood in this very spot 22 years ago today. Lucas gave me a reason to fight, and with every triumph I found a new philosophy. The same philosophy that guides my every action to this very day. Though in a strictly literal sense, our lives may well be entirely devoid of meaning, that we may all be born lacking purpose without a destiny to call our own, and that our fate may be nothing more than wishful fabrication born from our inability to accept that reality. But that is not the extent of it. Adopting a more spiritual perspective, I realize that we are the arbiters of our very own destinies, that we possess the agency to ascribe meanings and purpose as we see fit, and that we alone decide our fate with the actions that we take and the company we keep. And from my perspective, why wish for a hand that was dealt for us when we already possess the freedom to choose whichever cards we desire? We are free, and if you ask me, that is the most wonderful reality we could have ever wished for. That's a great stance. Sounds to me like you've spent a lot of time pondering the answers to those very questions. Indeed, coming so close to your demise has a habit of putting things into perspective. Those are the answers I came to sitting beneath this same tree. I spent a great deal of time here over the years. As a child, with Lucas and Gran, this is where we scattered her ashes too. This place means a great deal to me, though I admit I am the sentimental type. Aiden, have you ever gone back to a place from your childhood and found it no different from how you remember? It is such a strange sensation, almost like your memories have come back to life. Yeah, when I moved back to Sidonia for university, I drove out to the suburb where I grew up. I know what you mean about it feeling strange. It almost feels like reconnecting with your past self. Indeed, usually that feeling would fade with repeated visits, but for me, this place has always ushered those feelings in with every single visit. I enjoy reflecting when I come here, remember all the times I have come here in the past and all the things that have happened. The more things change, the more they only stay the same, and at my core, I am still the same person who played here as a child along with his best friend, the same person who later come here to end it all only for that friend to save him from that grisly fate. The same person who only months later would scatter his grandmother's ashes in these calming winds, saying goodbye to the only actual family he ever had. The same person who responded to his then lover's petty tantrum by ending their relationship once and for all. I know this is what Gran would have wanted. I had not been happy by his side for quite some time. It was long overdue, and I am still that same person who sat here, strummed his guitar while his best friend drummed a beat on his lap, using only his hands. The resulting song became a single on our third album, believe it or not. I have many memories in this place, some wonderful and some tragic. Any time my life is in turmoil, I come here to clear my head. and I feel closer to Gran too, to imagine what wisdom she would have imparted upon me if she were still alive. And today, your arrival and your spectacular gift, these two will become one of my many memories in this place. A wonderful one, I hope. With the gift as incredible as this bottle of whiskey, it could not have possibly been trash. Though I cannot quite be sure that this will be a wonderful memory either. I suppose we will still have much to discuss if we are to clear the air. Though, I wish to show my gratitude, Aiden. It was wonderful of you to go to such lengths in getting this for me. And the gesture of being here with me on my birthday, it means a lot. So thank you, Aiden. Thank you. After screwing up as badly as I did, it's the least I could do. I'm committed to making things right, no matter what lengths I have to go to. And what that might mean for the future, I feel terrible about how I treated you. Please, Aiden, there's no need to feel that way. I know your actions were not entirely your own, and believe me, I know exactly how that feels firsthand. To say that losing yourself like that is unpleasant would be a colossal understatement. And besides, none of that would have happened like it did if I had not so foolishly clung to the security that saying nothing brought. I so badly feared saying the wrong thing that I committed to saying nothing at all, and such a commitment is simply not compatible with a loving relationship. I cannot believe I was so blind, and that Apollo took such a risk in telling you what I would not. He swooped in to clean up my mess, and because of that, I feel like such a damned fool. The burden of blame for that series of idiotic mistakes is mine to bear, and mine alone. Apollo was a wonderful man, and I hate he took such a risk for me. I appreciate him more than he will ever know. Even now, a month following our separation, he is still looking out for me, just as he always has. Did Apollo tell you the story of the first time we first met? He was a patron at the bar, right? You two hit it off from there. It was the first time I met Spencer, I suppose. As it would happen, I had already met Solomon a long time before. Really? I thought he hadn't used that name in decades. Exactly right. And our story takes place 32 years ago, the day of the grand opening of Woodcrest Mall. Oh my god. You would not know it now, but not so long ago, that Woodcrest was only a tiny settlement housing a mere few thousand residents. It was a tightly knit community where everybody knew everybody else by name. So when the news came out that an entire shopping mall was opening in Woodcrest of all places, it was quite a big deal. The excitement in the air as the grand opening grew closer, it was positively electrifying. Once the day had at long last arrived, there was barely a solitary soul who hadn't come to join in the festivities. In fact, there were more considerably people present on that day than the entire population of Woodcrest at the time. Scattered among the crowd were residents of nearby cities such as Somerville, who came to witness the opening firsthand. To this day, Somerville still does not have a mall of its own, but among the many souls present was a doting grandmother and her rather excitable grandson. Gran had attempted to convince me to remain close by her side, but with all the noise and stimulation, I simply could not contain myself, and so she securely clutched my hand as we navigated the milling crowds at the snail's pace of a small child's stubby legs. So cute. Gran, I wanna see the art, You want to see the arcade tie? It does look rather exciting, doesn't it? We never even had TVs when I was a child. I got my very first black and white set as an adult. Back then, I could never have imagined a day would come where you could control what happened on the screen. The marvels of technology, what will they ever think of next? But look, Ty, do you see that long line of people by the door? We may find ourselves waiting for a very long time. But I want to see... I know you do, little one, but so does everybody else, and they arrived before us. So you know what that means, don't you? We must exercise our, patience. You know what? I need to, hide myself and, Well done. Yes, we must exercise our patience. Perhaps later on the line will have gotten shorter and we won't have to wait so long. Oh, I want to go see now. Remember your patience, sweetie. Good things come to those who wait. Children are nothing if not dramatic, and I was certainly no exception. Being denied the flashing lights and exciting sounds that beckoned from within the arcade, I promptly burst into tears. Oh, honey, there is no need for tears. Gran knelt to my level and wiped the tears from my eyes with a kindly smile before engaging her plan to cheer me right back up. I'll tell you what, why don't we get ourselves some lunch? I'm sure you must be hungry. It's your choice. What would you like to eat? McMelvin's. McMelvin's? Again? But you had McMelvin's yesterday, sweetie. I want it again. But Ty, look at all these brand new restaurants. Why not try something new instead? But I want McMelvin's! Oh dear. In later years, she would refer to this phase of my early childhood as the gremlin phase. And looking back, it is not only quite easy to see why, but I can hardly think of a better descriptor myself. Patience was among my many weaknesses, but thankfully for my young self, Gran's patience was a seemingly endless supply. And I was the furthest thing from an easy child to raise, but Gran was nothing short of a total saint. I've always regretted that the incredible forbearance she had worked so tirelessly to instill in me would not take hold until well into adulthood. And well after she was no longer around to see it finally happen. Having gorged myself on french fries and chicken nuggets, my craving for McMelvin's had at long last been sated. For now, the most exciting new stores remained besieged among enormous swarms of excited shoppers. Swarms that simply were not navigatable by a small, feisty child and his elderly grandmother. Thus, Gran had done her best to keep us busy as we passed the time, praying that the crowds would eventually subside. Alas, high foot traffic restricted our options to things that would drive a small child mad with boredom, like shopping for clothes, groceries, and kitchenware. Now, what a lovely set of drinking glasses, and so affordable too. I can't believe my eyes. There must be some kind of mistake. Do you ever remember something you did as a kid and feel ashamed of it now? I think most people have at least one or two moments like that, but for me, it was practically my entire childhood, and this exact moment was no exception. Though in a way, I'm also glad that it happened. The set of drinking glasses she had found had captured Gran's attention, but it was a rather sizable set containing a great many glasses, some of which I keep in a cupboard at home to this very day. But there was a slight problem. She was going to need both hands to lift the box. Normally, there would have been no problem when she briefly reached my hand so that she could place her brand new glasses in the shopping cart. Normally, I would have stayed put, just like she had expected me to do. Alas, I was a hyperactive child, and the depictions of monsters and dragons that lined the outer walls of the arcade had stirred my imagination. Worse yet, I was hopped up on McMelvin's, and so Gran turned her back for but a moment, and when she finally turned back, actual glass, and look at these gorgeous inscriptions. Maybe I can finally retire the mismatching sets I've accumulated over the years. Yes, I will have a set of these. What a bargain. I could get used to these savings. Now, little one, did you want to stop? Ty? Ty, where on earth have you gone? Ty? I'd seen my opportunity and wasted no time getting away, making a beeline for the entrance of the department store and disappearing into the turgid crowd which swallowed me whole like a ravenous beast. Ty? Ty, oh no! He's so crowded today, how will I ever find him? I still feel guilty about making her worry like that. Perhaps even more than ever. Despite the event being 32 years behind me, I'm sorry, Gran. I never wanted to scare you like that. She would abandon her cart along with a set of glasses she had found. She'd only buy the set months later, having lacked the opportunity that day to return to the store. First instinct was to intercept me at the arcade, but I would never arrive at the arcade. The crowd, which I had become immersed in, obscured my vision and repeatedly knocked me off course, and combined with my unfamiliarity with the mall's layout and a child's sense of direction or lack thereof, it had always been a long shot, to say the least. I cannot recall exactly how long I had fought the current of the crowd, occasionally being spat out in new and even more unfamiliar parts of the mall. I had not yet seen only to be sucked right back in moments later. My defiant determination quickly gave way to unease and fear. Eventually, I began trying to retrace my steps, hoping that I'd find the department store from which I had fled. By some miracle, I eventually waddled my way back into that very store, and I even found Gran's shopping cart, abandoned, with the drinking glasses still contained within. By now, I had grown somewhat distraught. I should have approached somebody working at the store and asked for their help, but common sense is rarely a tool in the average child's arsenal, so I threw myself back into the churning hordes, hoping once again that I might find the arcade. This went about as well as you would expect, and eventually I somehow found myself standing in the warm afternoon sunlight. I'd found my way outside the mall. I remember feeling a boost of confidence, the surrounding streets being noticeably more familiar to me, and thus I began the arduous journey back home. I lived a short distance from where Diego lives now, roughly a half-hour walk for an adult, but a much, much longer walk for a tiny 6-year-old tiger. By this point, you are no doubt expecting my intrepid expedition to not go to plan, and you'd be right. It was early afternoon when I initially broke free, and I had been walking the streets for at least a couple of hours. During this time, I had gone around and around in circles, repeatedly greeted by the same streets I had not long conquered, a fact that only elevated my distress and fueled my desperation to find my way back home. It had just been after 1 o'clock when I had initially broken free, and by the time I found myself at the train station, the sun had begun setting. I was a very long way off course from my destination, and the darkness of night loomed closer still. I could no longer make it home before nightfall, a considerable predicament considering I was afraid of the dark. I knew all too well that my situation had grown desperate, and so I did the very thing a child in strife does best: cried. The train station was a desolate ghost town, with the very last train of the day having arrived an hour prior. I was all alone as I sat there, terrified of the growing shadows around me, my face a disgraceful mess of tears and snot. Not a pretty sight, I can assure you. I did not know what was going to happen to me. I remember thinking that I would never see Gran again, that I would never make it back home, and that I would never get to eat Melvin's again. What can I say? 6-year-olds are not all that bright. I braced myself for the worst, consigned to my fate. The same monsters that lined the walls of the arcade began lurking inside every bush, behind every pillar, and concealed within every indistinct shadow. I closed my eyes as my terror got the better of me. I sat there, trembling as my tears drenched the concrete between my legs. I longed for comfort of home, for the safety of Gran's loving embrace. I needed her more than I ever had before. It was then that I recognized the sound of footsteps approaching. The monsters had emerged from the shadows and had come to feast. This was it. I knew it was the end. There you are. I found you at last. Ah! Don't hurt me. Hurt you? This is too fucking precious for this world. Dear me, I would never do such a thing. You have nothing to fear from me, my young friend, and that is a promise. The first time I ever laid eyes on that midnight raven in the rapidly fading evening light, my imagination had run wild, twisting his appearance into that of a terrifying and evil monster born of the darkness and made of pure shadow. But the warmth in his words quickly banished those shadows from my mind, instead revealing the smiling face of none other than Apollo himself. Terrifying young children comes with the territory for corvids like him, and even now it happens from time to time. May I ask your name, young man? Stranger Danger! Oh my, you have been educated well. Stranger Danger as a slogan was at its peak in those days, which I suppose goes to show my age. Gran has always done a fantastic job teaching me about the many dangers a child could face, and I knew all too well not to trust strangers. You know, they say that a young man went missing from the mall this afternoon and has not yet been located. He is a 6-year-old tiger whose striking violet-colored eyes allow him to easily be distinguished. I do not suppose you know I could find somebody like that, would you? I'm 6. So you are! And say, those are some particularly violet-colored eyes you have there. I do not suppose that you are the missing child, my own friend. Ty. My name is Tyjan Sutherland, but Gran calls me Ty. Tyjan? That is a traditional name, if I'm not mistaken. Your kind has such marvelous customs. It is a shame they are so rarely practiced in this part of the world. But look at me waffle on. My name is Solomon, and I am very pleased to make your acquaintance, Ty. He's too precious for this world. I looked up at Solomon without speaking a word. I still did not rightly trust him, but he remained unfazed as he continued to work his magic to earn my trust. Now then, my young friend, your poor grandmother is worried sick and will be very glad to have you home safe and sound. You live on Aldwyn Street, correct? I did, but I did not yet feel comfortable saying so. Luckily for me, Solomon already knew exactly where I lived, just as he had already known my name, having only asked for my sake and to be proper. As it would happen, the Woodcrest Mall was something he had been the driving force for, provided most of the required capital from his own coffers. He had hoped it would attract new residents to Woodcrest, and indeed it did, though it would not begin making a profit for another 6 years. Solomon was typically hands-off with the mall's operation, though he was present for the grand opening to oversee the operation and ensure it was a smooth and successful launch. Things had been running like a well-oiled machine until Gran approached mall management for help in finding me, and with everything else otherwise well in hand, Solomon elected to head up the search himself, with a couple of staff helping him. After their initial searches inside the mall yielded no results, Solomon split off from those helping him, reasoning that I might have left the mall and tried to find my way back home. As it would happen, he was exactly right. Though finding me at the station was a lucky coincidence, he had been searching public places between the mall and my home, and simply happened upon the correct location within minutes to spare before the darkness would have rendered his search considerably more difficult. I know you do not trust me, but I am a friend. I want to help you get back home. Will you permit me to help you? I'm not supposed to get in cars with strangers, too. That is okay, I did not bring one. I thought we could walk there together. What do you say? By that point, it was not that I was unwilling to accept his help, but more so that the sun had already finished setting, the fiery red skies having cooled to as dark blue as one by one the stars awakened from their slumber to shine brightly in the nighttime sky. The darkness and what manner of untold horrors might lurk within, it terrified me, and apparently that fear was clearly visible on my face, considering that Solomon knew exactly what was wrong without me having to say a single thing. I see, but morning is a long time away yet. We simply cannot wait for the sun to rise again, and just think how worried your grandmother will be if you do not return tonight. I think we should be on our way now. Do not fret. I will be right beside you every step of the way. I will keep you safe. That, I promise. But what if there are ghosts? Ghosts? Well, if they say boo, then I'll say right back at them. I'm far scarier than any ghost. What about vampires? Ooh, that is a good point. Vampires are a real pain in the neck. As a child, his joke had sailed cleanly over my head. Remembering it now, however, I find myself tickled pink. You know what vampires are more scared of than anything else? Big, scary tigers. Really? Really, and I bet you can be really scary if you tried. I genuinely thought that vampires were terrified of tigers until I was 8. Of course, this was not the case, and vampires are not even real. Solomon just made this up on the spot to ease my fears. Stand up. I did as he asked, climbing to my feet and facing Solomon as he issued his next instruction. Good. Now imagine that a vampire is coming and he wants to suck your blood. No! Have no fear. It is easy to repel a vampire. All you have to do is sound really mean and they will flee in terror. Tell me, have you learned how to roar yet? No. That's quite alright, because growling will work just as well. On the count of 3, I want you to scare the vampire away with your scariest growl. Can you do that for me? I'll try. Marvelous, then here we go. 1, 2, 3. The sound I made was completely pathetic, and would have intimidated nothing or nobody, let alone a vampire, but Solomon pretended otherwise. Ooh, that was fantastic, Ty. It sent a chill down my spine. That vampire did not stand a chance. Yay! But wait, oh no, here comes another one. You know what to do. 1, 2, 3. Bravo! That is 2 vampires you have scared away. I must admit, I am scared too. Thankfully, I know you are nice and will not eat me. Are you a vampire? You look like a vampire. Oh dear, that is not even the first time this week somebody has said that. I am no vampire, my young friend. Besides, where would my fangs even go? They would look funny on the end of my beak. And you know, being immortal? That sounds like a real drag if you ask me. Back then I thought nothing of that statement, but in hindsight I knew he was speaking from experience. Now then, I'll deal with the ghosts and you can save me from the vampires. How does that sound? Yep. Excellent, then let's be moving. Your grandmother will be so pleased to see you safe. Solomon turned back towards me as I held out my hand, hoping that he would take it. I would feel safer if he did. Hoping that he would... And he was thankfully unopposed, reaching out and grasping my tiny hand in his. And finally we set off, leaving the train station behind and journeying eastward along the footpath hand in hand. Solomon was extraordinarily tall compared to me, which meant he had to walk ludicrously slowly to avoid pulling ahead. But if this bothered him, he gave no indication, his smile unwavering as our journey progressed. As our journey progressed through the dimly lit streets, Solomon went out of his way to maintain our conversation in a bit to distract me from the oppressive darkness lest we both be swallowed whole. Tell me, young man, what are your favorite things to do? You must have started school by now, yes? Do you enjoy that? School? No, I hate school. Oh, come now, it can't be that bad, can it? You have to learn all kinds of new things and make new friends, too. The other kids are mean to us. Oh, I see, I understand. Kids can be so cruel sometimes, though. How do you mean us? Me and Lucas. The other kids used to beat him up and make fun of him for living in an orphanage. I tried to stop them. That was very heroic of you. How did that go? Now they beat both of us up. Oh dear, but at least you made a friend out of it, right? Yeah, Lucas is my best friend. A best friend? Goodness me, how lovely. You see, there are some good things about school. What do the two of you have in common? I have no mom and no dad either. I kind of know how he feels sometimes, but I'm really lucky. I have Gran. He doesn't have anybody. Oh my. But Gran lets him come over whenever he wants. We have sleepovers all the time. He's always staying with us. Gran lets him because he doesn't want to go home to the orphanage. The people there are nice, but he gets real lonely there. So he stays with us heaps. Gran used to take us to a super secret place. Nobody knows where it is except for us. We play lots and lots there, and sometimes we even play by the lake. Oh, and sometimes Gran takes us out into the woods exploring. I see. Sounds like you and Gran are doing a fantastic job of making young Lucas feel like part of the family. Yep, we don't have anybody else, so we gotta stick together. That way, none of us have to be lonely. That's a wonderful motto. Being lonely is very, very hard. I know this from experience. Lucas is very lucky to have you and Gran. Do you have any other family tie? No. Really? No brothers or sisters, aunts or uncles? It is just you and Gran? Yep. You say that you have no parents either. What? Do you know what happened to them? Where they might be? My mommy, her grave is in Sidorian, and every time we go there on vacation, Gran spends hours there. I see. Did you ever know her, and do you like to visit her with Gran? Nope, and no. It's boring. Kids, what about your dad? Where is he? Gran doesn't talk about him. I think he did something bad. Oh, goodness. I'm truly sorry to hear that, Ty. But just think. You still have Gran, right? And she does a good job of caring for you, does she not? Yep, Gran is the best Gran in the whole world. Wow, is she really? Uh-huh. She lets Lucas come around every day and stay for dinner. We even have lots of sleepovers. She tells us cool stories at bedtime. Do you enjoy bedtime stories? Yeah, sometimes I can't sleep, and they help sometimes. Other times she gives me this yucky drink. Oh my, what sort of yucky drink? I think she calls it a whisker. It tastes bad and it kind of burns, but it always makes me sleep. That is rather old-fashioned practice nowadays. Most likely something her parents did when she was a child. You cannot argue with the results, though. What else do you like about living with Gran? Chico's my favorite. Lasganga. Lasganga? Surely you mean lasagna. Don't laugh. Oh, I apologize. You're simply very cute, that is all. I'm not cute, I'm scary. I unleashed another of my oh-so-fearsome growls, something which seemed to only further fuel Solomon's delight. He had gotten me a touch hyped up. Oh yes, very scary, which is why I feel so safe around you. I just know that no vampires will come near me with you by my side. Now, lasagna, you say? That is your favorite meal? Yup. I see. I don't know. I met an orange short hair a mere few weeks ago who told me the same thing. Must be a thing among orange cats. But I only like it when Gran makes it. The ones from the shops are yucky. My, a discerning customer, no less. Tell me, what does Gran do that makes it so special? I don't know who's more precious. Axel or Young Tai, I don't know who's more precious. It's a little crunchy, but not too much. And she uses the little pastas, not the big gross ones. You just like the big ones? Yeah. Why ever not? Because they're yuck. I see. Yep, and wait, this is my street. So it is, and no ghosts or vampires saw fit to bother us. They must have been scared stiff of us. It would seem that we make quite the team. Yep. Solomon had done such a fantastic job of keeping my attention away from the surrounding darkness and my associated fear, and instead keeping me engaged in constant conversation. Not only that, but I had warmed up to him rapidly along the way. It was with a certain sense of sadness which we turned onto the path which led to Gran's front door. I liked that strange man, and part of me even wished our walk could have lasted just a smidgen longer. Though for a time I genuinely believed that I might never see home again. The lights were on, and Gran was home. It was the best kind of welcome I could have hoped for. Having reached the front door, Solomon turned towards me and knelt to my level once again. Now then, I know how you dislike school, but I hope you have learned something from today all the same. Tell me, what do you think you have learned, Ty? I can beat vampires. Grr, rawr. Ooh, so mighty, you sure can. And what else might you have learned, What should you not do when you're at the mall with your Gran? Not run away, but I wanted to see the arcade. And you would have, if you had not run away. Instead, you got lost and missed out. Yeah. I want you to make me a promise. Promise that you will never run away from your Gran like that ever again. Can you do that for me? But why? Ty, trust me. Just promise me, okay? I grumpily shuffled my feet, huffing and puffing in response to Solomon's patient smile wore me down in silence. Fine. Fine what? I promise. What do you promise? That I won't run away. And do you really mean that promise? Yeah. Marvelous. In that case, I have something you might like. Solomon reached into his jacket, rummaging around his internal pockets for a brief moment before finally locating what he had been looking for, retrieving it from his coat and revealing it to me. I want you to have these. I was supposed to give these out as spot prices, and I definitely should not. be giving you more than one of them, let alone 3, but I think it is justified given the circumstances. Each of these tickets will give you 2 hours of unlimited play at the very arcade you so dearly wish to see. You'll have plenty of time to try out everything, and then some. Reckon you can rack up enough tickets for a cool prize? Well, wow, yeah, thanks! It is my pleasure, Ty, but remember, you promised, okay? Yup, is it okay if I share with Lucas? Of course it is. I'm sure Lucas will be thrilled that you thought of him. Finally, Solomon climbed back to his feet as I stared at all the tickets held in my tiny hands. It's like my birthday and Christmas had come all at once. Part of me even wondered if I should get lost more often instead. It was then that Solomon knocked on Grand's door, finally announcing our arrival now that our fares had been settled. His knock prompted a frantic scuttling of feet, and the door opened with such velocity that I could have come clean off its hinges. Ty? Oh, Ty, thank goodness you are safe. I was terrified something might have happened to you. Please, come inside, out of the cold. Solomon and I did as instructed, stepping past the threshold before without warning. Gran scooped me up and began squeezing me with such intensity I feared I might burst. For several moments she cried her tears of relief into my shoulder before she finally acknowledged, or perhaps even noticed, the midnight-hued raven standing patiently in the doorway. Thank you so much. I cannot believe you found him and brought him home safely. Where did you find him? I concede he had been blown way off course. He had found his way to the train station when I found him. My heart cannot handle this. Gran is crying right now. My heart cannot handle this. He was no trouble, was he? Not one bit of that, I can assure you. In fact, I would say we become fast friends. Would you not agree, Ty? Yep. Oh, thank you so much. I must find some way to repay you for this. Oh, please, that will be no... Oh, yes, I know. Just one moment, please. I will be right back. Gran promptly lowered me to the floor and vanished into the depths of the house as quickly as she had come to the door only moments before. I looked up at Solomon and noticed a look of slight surprise on his face as his gaze focused solely on something behind me, and so I turned. God damn it, Lucas. And there he was, my best friend then and still to this day. Of course, back in those days, he was as cute as a button and nowhere near as firm as he is now. He had this adorable mop of hair that rendered him more blind often than not. I wish you could have seen it. Ty, you got lost! Was it scary? It wasn't scary. I had Sorrow Man to scare the ghosts away. What about the vampires? I'm scarier than any vampire. Grar. Whoa. You must be Lucas. Ty here speaks highly of you. Is he a vampire? Oh goodness me, twice in one day. I suppose my appearance is quite frightening, but never mind. It is about time I get a move on. Places to be and all of that, you know how it is. You stay safe, okay, Ty? And remember your promise. Yeah! Very good. Then without further ado, I bid you farewell. Bye, Solomon. I'll miss you. And I you, my young friend. Fear not, I am certain we will meet again someday. And with that, I watched as Solomon slipped into the darkness, his jet-black plumage becoming one with the night as he vanished from sight. We had only known each other for such a fleeting few moments, but I felt a strange sadness like I was losing a close friend. I wondered to myself if I would ever see him again as Gran finally made her return with a small jar of homemade cookies in hand, surprised to see their intended recipient gone without a trace. Oh, wherever did he... With a tinge of sadness and disappointment, Gran placed a jar of cookies on the counter before turning towards me and kneeling just as Solomon had done, just as adults always did. I'm so glad you are safe. I was so worried. That man from the mall, he treated you well, didn't he? Yup, Solomon is super nice. Look, he gave me these. I held the arcade passes out for Gran to see. She squinted somewhat as she tried to read the print. Her reading glasses in some unknown location about the house. He made me promise never to run away, and he gave me these when I did. That was very kind of him. I hope you said thank you. I did! Wow, you're so lucky. We should go. Both of us? Yeah, it's way more fun that way. Yeah. Oh, Ty, dear. Lucas has been ever so worried. You two should play for a bit, but not too late. It's a school night. Okay, hey, Gran? Yes, sweetheart? Do you think we'll ever see Solomon again? I certainly hope so. I never got to thank him properly, and I owe him a jar of cookies. We're gonna leave off here tonight. My heart cannot take much more. My heart cannot take much more. Okay, it's actually getting kind of late and I have shit to do in the morning, so, yeah. Stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.